Time is approximately forever.
We cannot afford to be so politically correct anymore. Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo.
Please continue to hold for the next available representative.
Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo.
We appreciate you waiting and waiting. What is it you're waiting for? Do you even know anymore?
These are people who work hard but no longer have a voice. I am your voice.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another primary election live stream. Make sure you guys like the stream down below and subscribe if you're new. We have already some votes to cover out of Texas. We have runoffs from several congressional districts and very key races down ballot. You have the revenge tour of Ken Paxton. Can they potentially knock off Rhino Dade Phelan as Speaker of the House with the Trump-endorsed, Ken Paxton-endorsed Dave Covey? We're about to find out, but down ballot, you do have some of these incumbents already trailing, already losing, and the Paxton revenge tour is continuing for the most part, it seems, which does seem to be good, at least in the down ballot races, but the big one we don't have any votes in quite yet. And then in terms of these other elections, you're seeing some runoffs, a lot of them not all that consequential. They're in safe districts, you name it. Jay Furman, he's kind of like the better candidate in the race against the indicted Democrat Cuellar, who's been there for a long time. Are the scandals going to catch up to him? Honestly, I still think he pulls it off, but we'll see. But you have the more Trump-aligned candidate winning that district so far. But Tony Gonzalez is leading Brandon Herrera, although a lot of those votes are in from Bexar County. That is the county that has a big chunk of the population, but we still have ways to go out of that specific district. There's a lot of room to grow. We could also compare it to the first round of the runoff as well. We could look at that and see where he'd need to, if the margins are exactly where they would need to be, that's another question that is really yet to be answered. But still, you have this runoff that's forced. Now, keep in mind, you look at Bexar County, that was one of, it was a good county for Gonzalez, but it wasn't like that good to the point where you could say that it would make up all the difference in the world. So, we'll have to see. We have a few super chats. We're going to be reading those. We're going to be looking at these races as they do come in. Also, it does seem as if John O'Shea is not going to win so far in the 12th district, which is not a good thing. You have the more establishment candidate who's failed on the border before. He is currently in the lead. He's at 65%. John O'Shea is down there at 35%. So we'll see what happens on that front. You also have the runoff in the 7th district as well, but it doesn't seem like that one is going to be a competitive district come November. But we will watch this district because this is the district everybody's looking at. We'll watch it in terms of the county map, but we don't have anything out of the Phelan-Covey race. That is going to be a crucial one for the state politics in Texas, especially possibly getting out a rhino. Some rhinos are losing so far down ballot, but nothing in from the 21st district. And now they do actually have it by county, so we will be looking at both of these as the results come in. We'll get to super chats. If you guys have any super chats, feel free to send them in. We already have several from Johnny Heartdog already, as is tradition. For $10, Johnny Heartdog says, I think the topic of discussion you had on your live stream was very important. I think you should do a poll and talk about concerns and what they're confident about. Well, we'll discuss it as we get closer. I'm sure the concerns are going to change a little bit. I'm sure the confidence points are also looking to change because initially the concern a lot of people had was Trump is broke. He doesn't have money. And now nobody talks about that anymore. Democrats will cope. They'll be complacent. You name it. And we have results so far, and Dade Phelan is, he got 69% of the vote so far. That's not good. It's not good. And like I said going into the night, it's very likely that you will get some results that you don't want to see because there's a lot of big money, a lot of dark money that powers these races later on, especially these runoff races. We saw it with Michael Guest in Mississippi in 2022, a lot of different places in 2022, but those first numbers are not good for Dave Covey. They're not good, and that's kind of an issue so far. Now, it is one county, but that's 26% of the vote. That means the remainder of the vote has to come in heavily for Covey for him to even have a remote chance of victory. So we'll see. In terms of the Texas 23rd, we have no new results in. Both of these are 26% of the way in. So already not looking too good. Like I said on Twitter a couple hours ago, I have no expectations. Whatever happens tonight, anything is good. Anything is icing on the cake. So far, there's no icing, at least not yet. Now, who knows how the rest of this district's going to fill in. You already have the Bexar County area coming in strong for Gonzalez. But again, that could narrow. A lot of this is early vote. Still, a lot of people in Texas do vote early, so it's not like there's going to be that big of a discrepancy compared to some of these other states. Punch a Bunch Bear says, go Covey. Well, wish the people of Texas 21st would have heard that one. Johnny Heartdog for 20 says, I'll tell you my biggest concern and confidence. My confidence is that Trump is up in all metrics and everything is so bad I don't see how he can lose. My biggest concern is election integrity and stupid people. I think a lot of people agree with that. And also for 10, what I meant in my first chat was do a poll asking people's concerns and confidence and do a video addressing the top 5 or 10. Interesting. Maybe. We'll consider it. But still. This is preliminary results, but it's not looking good. Now, I did want to touch base on this as well. The betting odds, which are not a good indicator in my opinion, and they're still not a good indicator, but they do gauge how people are betting on the election. Just because Trump is leading the betting odds doesn't mean he's guaranteed to win and vice versa. That's not what I'm getting at, but what I am getting at is with the start of his trial, Donald Trump in the betting odds has gone up by 18 points, and they're doing closing arguments. They're filibustering like crazy right now because they know they can't win. They know that the jury is not actually, from what we understand, they're shaking their heads at the Cohen testimony. These are people that, yeah, they're in a liberal city, and some of them probably are liberal, but is it possible that they could set that aside and not vote to convict? Yeah, it's very possible. I think some people will. And in terms of the felony, yeah, I think because there's no crime. There's no crime that's covered up whatsoever. Therefore, yeah, I expect at least one or two people to hang the jury in terms of the felony or anything that would lead to any jail time. Trump might get a misdemeanor, but is a misdemeanor really exactly going to negatively impact him? No, I don't think it necessarily backfires too much either, but I mean, if he gets to walk free and he gets acquitted of any felonies, at that point, then he's going to be in a good position. He's going to start raising more money because a lot of donors may be withholding their support. He's getting more endorsements. He's picking up more steam. That's what you need to do. That's a very, very good thing. And also, I think that this tells you something when you look at the results from tonight, is that when Donald Trump is not on the ballot, not only do MAGA candidates do worse in general elections, but they also do worse in primaries. And you're seeing that because, Trump endorsed Covey. He did, verbally, and he was down there in Texas, not in the district per se, but he was doing events and he was shouting out Covey, but it's not working. There's not a translation. So when Trump was on the ballot, well, you did see Covey get 49%. He should have knocked Phelan off. There were some other stragglers in the mix, and they definitely are going to have a tough look in the mirror at themselves tonight. But still, I mean, the runoff to the general, or the general to the runoff, that is a discrepancy, a big discrepancy. And, Gonzalez, yeah, for an incumbent, like I said 60-40. Seems like my prediction, sadly, is holding up. But without Trump on the ticket, with a lot of dark money, a lot of big money pouring in to all of these races, you are seeing some sort of a shift from the primary when Trump is in the race and he's on the same ballot and he's the one that's got this level of pull down ballot. He has the coattails. That's why I'm saying, yeah, in Ohio, Moreno is the most electable choice. I said it before, and then you look at the election, and it's like, yeah, well, Trump clearly gets these people out to vote. They vote for his people when they vote for Trump. You're not going to see a lot of ticket splitting with Trump on the ballot. That's why I'm not saying that Kerry Lake is DOA in Arizona or that in Ohio, Moreno is a weak candidate or whatever, or that Tester has a chance. Democrats can pour all the money they want into any of those races. It's not going to make very much of an impact, in my opinion, just because Trump is on the top of the ticket. And as honestly, when you look at a race like tonight, it's disappointing. Turnout's not very high either. You want to do the math, there's going to be about 25,000 people that turn out tonight. And we're seeing that unfold right here, right now, which some other counties are dropping in. Uvalde County dropped in. But you look at the total turnout for the initial primary, it was 57,000. Herrera might get his, percentage higher than his initial run. And that's true. He got 24. He's up to 40. That's probably, it goes up a little bit. But still, you look at the total turnout. Lower turnout elections don't favor the MAGA types, especially without Trump on the ballot. You look at this and it's like, yeah, there's a gap of 1,900 votes between the two. The gap between the two in round one was 11,000, and you might get 30-some thousand voters turning out for the runoff. But in round one, how many did you exactly get to turn out? You got 58,000 people. So these runoffs are lower propensity, and as a result, that's hurting these MAGA type of candidates in the race as well, which is not a good thing. But I think for November, you could say that with Trump on the ballot, you will have these effects and these coattails. So there's that. Let's see. Sam Madsen says only Phelan's home counties. And yeah, it's true. I mean, I'm sure it's going to narrow. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not ready to call it yet, but It's not looking too good so far, not looking too good. If he's at 69, 70%, if we want to look at round one, if we possibly can look at round one in the state house, District 21, well, it doesn't exactly give us the margins by county. He definitely won it, but I don't know what margin he won it by. Then we have Henry for 5 saying, first time voted today, got my dad to vote for Herrera too, but everyone was there for Gonzalez. Yeah, and part of it is just the boomer thing. You know, the people under the age of 25 or people that use social media, those are the type of people that are going to turn out, and they're going to be the type of people to vote for Brandon Herrera, and that's why he's getting votes in general. But you do have this disconnect, and you do have like the online factor. He's ratioing Gonzalez on Twitter. It's epic. It's hilarious. How many of people that like that tweet live in that district, for one? And for two, it just doesn't gauge everything. It proves the internet's not real life. It's what it proves. Just like your whole DeSantis or bust crowd. Yeah, that's online. That's not a real life phenomenon. A lot of these people need to touch grass, but they don't. Now, in terms of this, it's like, yeah, well, people that have good ideas need to understand that there's quite a bit of a disconnect between the average voter. And I called this out in 2022. I think the actual election kind of proved a little bit differently, or it kind of confirmed it. And there are some counties that are coming in. Some of these other counties, Brewster County, Herrera's at 63, Gonzalez is at 37. So, you know, you do have some places that are looking good, but, you know, overall, it's not fully ideal. So we'll see what happens in the remainder of this race right here in the Phelan, and we'll get to super chats as well. We'll look in the live chat. We're not going to probably go all night because Texas, unlike some other states like Arizona, knows how to quickly count their votes and get everything done. We're probably going to have the winners of all these key races and probably around, you know, at least like an hour at the very latest. But in terms of the percentage in, we're already 33% in. We're probably 24 minutes after poll closing. So that's kind of a good testament to how fast and how efficient, effective Texas is at actually counting the votes. It is true. Talking on YouTube doesn't get out the vote. It doesn't. Although we can have a domino effect type of thing happen. I think that in terms of this election, we need to... everybody in chat needs to do their part in the real world as well. We have how many people here? 1,300 people. How many people here are from a swing state? That's another question. Or live in the Big Seven? That's a poll we could ask. Do you live in a Big Seven swing state? Which that is Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, or Nevada. This is the poll. We'll put it out. We'll see what people have to say. And then we'll take it from there. Do you live in one of the Big Sevens? Because, you know, I don't know how many people are going to say yes or no. I mean, it's not the biggest portion of but it's a sizable portion of the population. I'd say maybe 20 to 30% of the country. And it seems like we have probably around a third almost that claim they do so far. So if we take that, we have, you know, a few hundred people here that actually can make a serious impact and get other people out to vote. That's crucial. You know, even if we say we have 100 people, if 100 people do their part, then that still could be thousands of votes. Dustin Enoch says, either way, this might put pressure on Tony to vote better and could open the door for Herrera to run again in the future and win. I agree 100%. I think that a primary challenge is usually a positive thing. Whether you want to say that, you know, it's disappointing or not, yeah, of course it's disappointing. But still, if you put pressure on somebody, they're not going to be as awful in the next term as they were in the previous term or the previous two terms if there's somebody there that is effectively pushing back against it. And that's that. You know, Herrera is also a YouTuber. YouTubers running for... I don't believe we've ever had a YouTuber in Congress. I'm not talking about congressmen that create a YouTube channel and talk on it or whatever, because maybe you have a few. You have a few people who may have done like a podcast here and there. I think that even like some establishment hacks have had their own YouTube channels. They put their advertisements on it, you name it. But still, it's like the fact that you have a YouTuber running for Congress against a well-funded incumbent getting 41, 42% of the vote, and without a Trump endorsement. Is that really that much of a bad thing? I mean, maybe not. Maybe, and he had a lot of baggage too. And yeah, a lot of it's bogus. I'm not saying it's not, but bogusness combined with big money is the narrative that gets set. So the veteran suicide jokes or whatever, those things definitely did hold him back. They weighed him down in a race like this because they were lies or twisted facts that were used to boost Gonzalez and hurt Herrera. That's what it was. And anybody who would say that Herrera would have lost in Nova, no, he wouldn't have. Trump's on the ballot, Trump being on the ballot in the district, he's going to win by 10. That takes precedence for anything else. Maybe Herrera wins by 6 or 7 instead of winning by 10 or 13 or whatever. That's fine, but we take somebody who wins by 3 or 4 over somebody who wins by 10 who's a total rhino who needs to go. That's what I can say. Somebody in chat says, all I hear is cope. It's why I can't watch this. Well, tell me exactly what I'm saying is incorrect. Because you have this phenomenon where people will say, oh, you're coping. Which, again, how am I exactly coping when I said 60-40 and Herrera's outperforming my expectations? That's a cope? Okay. Well, whatever. But you tell me what I'm saying that's wrong. If you're going to come in here and talk shit, you're going to tell me what I'm saying that's wrong. And then you can actually, get the upper hand in the argument. But no, you can't do that. You can't do that because you have nothing. That's pretty much it. That's the phenomenon with a lot of people that like to come in here. Different opinions, that's fine. We have people in here with different opinions. I'm not saying you can't. But the problem that I have is people that come in here and talk all this shit and don't back it up. They talk shit, they don't back it up. That's the problem. That's a problem that we just don't really have the patience for dealing with. So we'll go back to the other race here, and there's nothing new. There's nothing new at all. 69-31. Disappointing. It is disappointing. If this holds, is kind of something I didn't expect. I thought it'd be close. Yes, I thought Phelan probably has an edge that he didn't have in round 1, because now they're going to find Democrats that didn't vote and get them to vote for Phelan, you name it. But still, what can I say? We'll go back to all the runoffs. O'Shea gained a little bit, but not a lot. Let me see. Yeah, all these votes. The problem for O'Shea is that the votes in Parker County are not looking much better for him than the votes in Tarrant. I mean, Goldman signs are everywhere. O'Shea signs are everywhere too here. I mean, I've seen both. Can't walk down the street without seeing, a few signs for either side. But still, I mean, what can I say? How's Ted Cruz? Cruz is doing fine. Cruz will win easily. I'm not worried about Cruz whatsoever. Not worried about Cruz. So, yeah. Let's see. There's nothing new. We're still at 33%, 32% here. Furman is leading. See, that's a win, I would say. Because Furman was the more Trump-aligned candidate from what I understand. He's getting 64% of the vote. But again, that district, is he likely to win it in November? It depends on the Hispanic trends, but you will probably see this down-ballot effect because Henry Cuellar will at least rhetorically say things about the border, and most other Democrats don't. So that's going to be enough for people. It's basically the whole John Fetterman thing. Oh, Fetterman's base. People will say, no, he's not. Look at his voting record. But people buy it. People buy the fluff. They buy everything. Doesn't exactly work. Doesn't exactly add up. But people buy it. People love to buy it. That's the thing. So AO1968 says, thank you for putting in work. Thank you for your super chats. It's appreciated. Keeps the lights on for sure. But yeah. Let's see. Texas is a Second Well, it is a Second Amendment state, but again, you have an incumbent congressman with a lot of money, and that money is going to be spent against somebody with these advertisements, which honestly were not good in many cases. They were not good in many cases. They were jokes, but again, the perception people have on social media is vastly different than the perception people have in real life. That's the way it is. And turnout's lower. Trump's not on the ballot. If Trump was on the ballot, I think Herrera actually would win even without a Trump endorsement. But still, could the Trump endorsement have made up the ground? I mean, it's possible. It depends on what the end result is. It's right now 60-40. Yeah, I think you could say a Trump endorsement would have probably helped. But still, we don't even know if it's going to be enough to take out Phelan. We have a long way to go there, but it does seem as if from the results we have in, it was not enough here. But it was worth the try, even if Covey falls short. But it will be disappointing, and it seems like as of right now, it's probably going to be a little disappointing. And again, a lot of this is also you have lower turnout, and what voters did they micro-target? They were able to find Democrats in this district and get them to turn out. And it would make sense that they would. Why exactly? Well, because of the fact that Phelan is somebody who puts Democrats to chair committees. That's it. That's it. They have Democrats chairing committees. Oh, well, now we have another vote dump that's a little bit different. Orange County came in big, and Dave Covey narrows the gap significantly, and that is huge. That is huge. That is huge. It's, a little bit early, but that is huge. So we'll see. But it's now down to 15. So we got 46% of the vote left, and that county was huge. That county delivered. So again, we'll see. Again, we'll have to see. There's an Orange County in a lot of states. Florida, California, Texas, yeah, apparently. Quiet part out loud for 10 says Lynn Stuckey's a big problem in Wise County. That race will help Paxton, and big help in the House to have Hopper win. Well, let's go back and let's look. Okay, so Herrera's actually gaining a little bit. I don't know where the votes came in. I think it was Dimmitt County. Not a lot of votes there. But there are counties that are coming in more favorably to Herrera, but still it's a 16, 17-point game. Let's go back down here to the state house as we were looking at. Okay. So Pearson is winning big in the 33rd, which is good. Kerwin, see, all these incumbents are losing. That's the good thing. You look at the incumbents. The incumbents are taking L's. So there are a lot of big wins tonight down ballot. There are a lot of big wins. And that's what people need to understand. So while I do think that, like I said, Herrera is not in the best position right now, that's putting it lightly. He might gain a little bit. And then we could play Monday morning quarterback all we want about, if Trump endorsed him. I'm sure we're going to have those discussions if it gets closer. I'm sure we will. But still, when you're looking at the Phelan race, the fact that it narrowed, the fact that there's more, presumably, Election Day votes out of Orange, that is a good sign for Covey. He's not done yet. Now, he's still losing by a substantial margin, but what votes are left, that's huge. That's huge. And I kind of want to see the first round county map. I don't have the first round county map. It's not showing. It doesn't show on the New York Times. It doesn't show pretty much anywhere. But still, either way, we have positive news. There's some positivity. There's also some not so positivity. But I didn't expect Herrera to win this race. But it would have been a nice icing to the cake if he did. Dems did come out for Phelan. Well, they did to an extent, but they're not the only people that voted for him. The district that he's in is not all that Democrat friendly from what I understand. Now, I don't even know what part. He's part of, I think it's like the it's somewhere in the triangle. Let me see. Where's Orange County, Texas? Okay, it's East Texas. So he's like on the East Coast. So Orange County, there's a lot of people. Trump got 81% of the vote there. Jefferson County is a split county. So there are a lot of Democrats in Jefferson County. Donald Trump won it by the skin of his teeth, but it seemed like he improved over Biden there, presumably because of Hispanics or whatever. But let's go back here. The other county that's not in is Jasper County. Jasper County, if we could see this. Jasper, I think, Jasper is just as red as orange. Actually, I think it's redder. It seems like it might be redder. Yeah, 88. It gave him 80.3, so a little bit less red, but it's about the same. So Jasper is probably going to come out for, given the results, I'd say Covey has the edge in Jasper to a certain extent. Now, again, population-wise, Jasper County at large only has 14,000 voters, at least for 2020. Orange was, actually Jefferson was the biggest, but it does seem as if the amount of votes is pretty much evenly split from the district perspective, because Jefferson is a fairly larger county. It's probably split between districts. Jasper should come out to benefit Covey to a certain degree, but by how much, I don't know. Herrera gained a little bit. Again, he did gain. He's gaining. More counties are coming in, the more rural type of counties. Now, the question is, will there be Election Day vote potential surge for Herrera if that is to narrow, become like more of a 10-point race? That I don't know. That I'm not entirely sure about. But looking at the first round Texas primary in that specific district, let's see. Seemed like Gonzalez did best in the area just east of El Paso. He did worst in the areas a bit southwest of Bexar County. But in terms of the counties that have, in terms of some of the counties that have Herrera ahead, Gonzalez is actually getting it. It seems like he's actually getting a little bit below his round one, at least from the votes that we have right now, below his round one percentages. So we'll see. It's unlikely that Gonzalez goes down, but it's not over quite yet. But this is more of one to watch, and there's definitely a lot of positive results down ballot that probably are not as sought after to find out, but they do definitely add up significantly. A lot of these incumbents losing their races in a lot of these House races. So Paxton's going to be able to claim victory in some potential degree, and we'll see. But again, if you guys want to send in super chats, feel free. We have 1,600 live viewers. Make sure you guys like the stream. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. If you want to use live chat, subscribe if you are new. We are covering the results as they come in out of Texas. We've got the Dade Phelan race. We also have the Gonzalez-Herrera showdown. So far, 44% in. Gonzalez, he's still in the lead. He leads by a substantial margin so far. So we'll continue to monitor. It's not technically done, but it's not. You'd rather be Gonzalez than Herrera. I don't know if I could say the same thing for Phelan, but it's still going to go down the wire, which is good news for Covey, at least. It is good news for Covey. But we do have ways to go. And they are getting Democrats to vote. Open primaries, once again, open primaries, this is what happens. At least, make them semi-closed, but closed would be ideal. Closed primaries would indeed be ideal. But you don't have that. You don't have that for some reason. Also, next Tuesday is Super June's Day, the last presidential primaries. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. Will the zombie vote for Haley keep plummeting, especially after her half-assed endorsement of Trump? That's a good question. That's a good question as well. But we'll see. Let's go back to the. Okay, nothing new out of the Phelan race. But like I said, down ballot there are some positive developments. They're not, as well known of races, but there are some positive developments. It does look like O'Shea is cooked unless something drastically happens with the 68% of the vote that's not yet reporting. But because Wise County is not looking good for O'Shea, I would presume that even the more exurban parts of Tarrant are not looking that good for him either. So we'll still see on that front. But looking at the state house, yeah. How many incumbents are going down tonight? You have quite a few. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 7 incumbents losing. How many incumbents do you even have winning? You have 2. And that can change, and possibly the incumbents that are winning could lose, like Phelan. But still, I mean, the runoffs are looking good for Paxton. They're looking good for Paxton in the revenge tour, but, you know, Gonzalez is not seen as somebody that was involved in that because he's in Congress. He's not in the state house. And if he was involved, I think Herrera would be doing much better. And you did have some big money that was backing up the Paxton effort. It shows you what happens. Mitchell Ryan says, if they jail Trump, would they be able to remove his Secret Service? Well, they can try, but I don't think he's going to be jailed. I highly doubt it. And maybe I'm just too optimistic, but I'm looking at the trial. I'm looking at how the jury's reacting to the prosecution. That's different. And look, we've seen hung juries in Manhattan before in terms of these trials relating to Trump. I think it was a Steve Bannon acolyte or something. You had a couple people that hung one of those juries, and they eventually had to go to jail. But to say that, oh, it's impossible, that there's any positive for Trump, I disagree. Now, maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe I'm delusional. But I don't think I'm that delusional just to say, yeah, this case is so weak. The jury is large. There are some people on the jury that might be more sympathetic to at least being somewhat reasonable. And also, if they do convict him, it could backfire. So you probably get a hung jury. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he gets a full acquittal. Yes, because you will have people that are holdouts, but still. Ronald Garcia says Jefferson County is where Beaumont's located. It's also home to Lamar University. I did find that out about Beaumont. Didn't know what county it exactly was, but it was Jefferson. Seth X132 for 10 says, thank you for the coverage. Well, thank you. Do you think Herrera can still pull it off? Well, it's unlikely just because a big portion of the district is in Bexar County and Gonzalez is about 10 points higher than he was in round 1 there alone. But there are possibly some positive signs, election day votes, and the fact that Gonzalez is underperforming round 1 in some places. So I'm not saying I'm going to call it yet, but I would say I would much rather be Gonzalez than Herrera. But again, turnout is super low. You're probably going to get 30 to 35,000 people turning out. Round 1 you had 60,000, and Gonzalez only got 40-some percent. If Trump was on the ballot, I think that Herrera would win, and honestly, depending on the end result, an endorsement possibly could have put him over the edge, but we'll see. Godspeed Q for 25 says, I appreciate your hard work and diligence speaking truth. There is hope for our nation with bright young men like you. God bless. Well, thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Appreciate it. DJ Aftershock says, was Trump endorsing McGuire and L? I tend to believe so. I feel like he wanted to, because if you're looking at it from Trump's perspective, he did not like the fact that Bob Good endorsed DeSantis, and I cannot blame him for wanting to not return the favor with an endorsement. The problem with him endorsing McGuire is more of a cutting off the nose despite the face type of thing, because McGuire's a grifter that's propped up by all the same donors that propped up people like DeSantis and Haley in the primary. So McGuire's a snake. He tried to capitalize on Bob Good's mistake. Bob Good is somebody that's got a very, very good voting record, but he did a very bad mistake in terms of his endorsement for DeSantis, because honestly, it shows that he had no political skills. He had no political acumen by doing that. You're endorsing somebody who is not a good candidate at the national level and has no shot to win the primary. It's an L that he took. So he did it to himself. But I don't like the McGuire endorsement. I think Good still might win, and I honestly hope that he pulls it out because McGuire's a grifter. Who do you think McGuire voted for in the primary? That's another question. Because it's not just like, oh, well, Good is being primaried by somebody who's more MAGA or whatever. He's being primaried by somebody who's less. and is trying to take advantage of that mistake. It's the whole Nancy Mace thing. It's like, except I like Good. Good's got a good record. Mace doesn't really have a good record, but her challenger is somehow worse. So it's like, yeah, Trump endorsing Mace is the right thing in that instance, even though he didn't endorse her in 2022. But the Bob Good non-endorsement, I haven't found any good argument other than, well, he endorsed Ron. And I thought it was stupid. I think it was very dumb that he did that. I just don't know if it justifies a primary challenge from somebody who's objectively worse. I think it's like a cutting off your nose to spite your face sort of ordeal. And it's like, Good's out there. He's going to the courthouse. He's, obviously throwing his support behind Trump. And, if that all just goes away because of the other endorsement, then, well, that's an L on Good's part. But what can I say? I don't think that it was the best endorsement. McGuire's a McCarthy-backed shill. I've said it for months. And I've also said that there's a good chance he gets the Trump endorsement because, honestly, yeah, Good is not entitled to Trump's endorsement after him not endorsing Trump. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. But at the end of the day, you don't have to endorse somebody who's worse. And it's the advice. He got advice from people who are, more establishmentarian, and they're making his endorsement game a little bit weaker. If you want to be careful in swing states or swing districts, that's fine. But the level of going to get downgrades and actively seek out downgrades for the wrong reasons in safe districts is not something that's useful. So Trump's endorsement game has improved, I believe, but he does have some blind spots, and we'll see. It's up to the people of that district to make the decision. It really is. And we'll see who they listen to. And I have a feeling that you have a lot of people who are very pro-Trump that are going to stick with Good, but we'll see. Sam Madsen says, boomers literally ruin everything. Well, they ruin primaries. They do ruin primaries. They ruin a lot of things. And there are some people who are not that type of boomer. So I want to make that clear because I know we have a good portion in the audience, and I'm not trying to throw them under the bus. But yeah, you do have, because look, a lot of boomers, they rely on media, establishment media. They're the type of people that watch Fox News. They see the Gonzalez ads in Fox News, or they hear about, this guy, and they try to say that Herrera insulted Trump's son because he made a joke about Barron being tall. Who makes jokes about Barron being tall? Donald Trump. And it's true. The guy's he's like a podcaster type of thing. I'm sure if I ran for office, that you probably would have a lot of people that will, try to dig through everything I've ever said and try to make me look bad. It's part of the job. It's partially why you don't really have a lot of radio hosts in, swing areas at least, or people that knock off. Because you possibly, if it's an open seat in the future, I think Herrera very well could find a way to victory. No question about it. He might win again if Gonzalez doesn't change in Congress. There's a very good chance Herrera could run next cycle and knock him off or something like that. And maybe because the seat will probably trend right, you'll actually have the confidence from Trump to deliver an endorsement or something. So we'll see. LynRX for $50 says, I'm with you. Plenty of people who follow and accuse those of doing all the work of doing or being this or that with no backup for their words. Keep up the good old Bowen. I don't know what that means. Your shows are always realistic. Well, thank you for the support. No, it's very few people. It's very, very few people. That's the thing. LynRX52 says, sorry, I don't know where the old Bowen came. Yeah, I don't know. It's typos. It happens. It's okay. But we don't have any new votes in from the Phelan race, or actually from the Gonzalez-Herrera race. We're stuck at 40%. Luke Newman says, can Anthony D'Esposito hold on in New York's 4th District? I think so. Dino Diva says, your thoughts on Ted Cruz? Any role in Trump's admin for him? Just curious, since we're talking about Texas. I think his role is going to be Senator of Texas. That's what I think it's going to be. I don't think that Trump is going to want to open up a Senate seat for a special election to make Cruz Attorney General. Trump has a lot of talent he can put in his administration. I think he's got more talent than he had to choose from before, because now you didn't know who the fakes were, who the real ones were. Now you know who the real ones are, which is why I'm optimistic for a second Trump term. And I think that if he wins, it very well could be all worth it in the end. Although it is true that, a lot of people are struggling right now and our borders wide open, but Now you have a mandate to deport every illegal. That's the real DEI that we're going to be implementing. Get rid of the old DEI, implement the good DEI, deporting every illegal. Dave M for $20. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. But yeah, well, we have to find people. We have a lot of good people. We have a lot of talent. And I'm looking forward to it. I am. I don't think it's going to be Paxton because we need Paxton. Texas needs Paxton. We need, as a country as a whole, we need Texas. And Paxton keeps Texas red, makes it redder. He's Teflon Ken. Nothing sticks to the guy. All the stuff they threw at him bounced right off. He won by 10. He outperformed Greg Abbott in some suburbs, And he was actually running against like a well-funded type of candidate, you name it. There was an effort, and it backfired. And now he got his revenge. Maybe not full revenge. We'll see what happens in this district. But he got a great deal of revenge, which is really, really a positive thing for him. It's like 84% of Jefferson is in. It's possible Covey could gain with what's left in Jefferson. Orange, he possibly could gain. Jasper is likely going to come in for Covey as well. And look at that. Look at that. Jasper is in. Covey at 71%. That is a big vote dump for Dave Covey, and he has cut that gap to less than 1,000 votes with 35% of the vote remaining. Wow, that is huge. We still have ways to go. It's not over, but this is shaping up to be a real nail biter. A real nail biter. And Herrera gains a tiny bit in votes that were dumped in from Crane County. Crane County in round one gave Gonzalez 44%. So far, it's giving him 40. So again, he is losing in some places. So we'll see. Joshua Kaplan for 10 says, much love here from the deep red state of California. I wish. My questions for you are, what do you think is Trump's path to win Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and is Minnesota possible? Well, I think he's got a clear path. Minnesota is possible. I think it would depend on the third-party vote share. I don't think it's top priority. But I do believe that Wisconsin and Michigan, Pennsylvania got to get up the white working class vote, and you probably will see turnout drop off in the cities, and that's definitely going to help Trump. So we'll see. We will see. But let's see what chat's saying. Why did Abbott endorse Gonzalez? Well, Abbott's an establishment Republican. He is. Is he a better governor this term than he's been in the past? Yes. I feel like he actually wants to take action on the border because it would save his own ass. He probably can have the governorship for as long as he lives if he wants it. He's the FDR of Texas because he's just in a wheelchair and he's just going to keep going until the wheels fall off. M says Paxton for Texas governor in 2026. I think Abbott's going to run again. Paxton has the AG slot for as long as he wants it, and Abbott's got the governorship for as long as he wants it. And if it's a Trump midterm, Paxton running for more high-profile office, that's iffy. I don't want it to be too competitive, but we'll see. Nightshade 4120 says, on the topic of Montana Senate primary, Johnson seems better on the issues, but he has the Trump endorsement. Any thoughts on the two? Well, I think you probably have the right take there, but Johnson doesn't really have much of a shot. He doesn't have any money, and it doesn't seem like he's going to win. So I'll end the poll. We have 1,500 voters on the poll. That's a substantial amount of people, and it showcases that 25% live in a competitive swing state. So how many people do we have in chat? 1,700. That's a couple hundred people that need to do their part. And people that don't live in a competitive swing state still need to do their part. Let's see. We don't have any new results. Let me check we'll refresh this. Any new results here? No new incumbents are trailing. Quiet Part Out Loud for $20 says, I think it's over. Phelan is lost. We're doing a victory lap around Dallas right now. The Bush-Washington control of Texas is dying. Trust me. The rest of that district is very, very red. Well, we'll see. Again, there's a lot of votes left. I'm looking at this and I'm saying this is good for This is very good for Covey, but I don't want to call it yet. We're not going to call it, but that would be huge because I didn't anticipate it. I said it could be close. There is big money that is backing up Covey, or at least opposing Phelan, which is good. And we need our own big money. We need successful people on our side. That's how you take control. That's the shortfalls of populism, is that if you alienate too many donors, or you're not willing to chase them out of pride, you're not going to be able to take power, and that's the main issue. So we'll see. Now, if we find out that Trump had to endorse McGuire to get $100 million donation spree, then why exactly am I going to say it's a bad thing that he's kicking out Bob Good? But I don't know if that's true. There's more to it. But still, we got to do what we got to do. Base Cat says, did Hank Hill vote for Paxton? I mean, probably. I don't think that, like, you talk about somebody like a Hank Hill. He's like an average, boomer. He's, relatively conservative, probably not a fan of Trump's personality or whatever. But yeah, he's probably the type of guy that just votes straight ticket red down ballot. I don't think he knows much about Ken Paxton, if we're going to be honest. Let's see. Abolish the ATF. Yeah, ATF should go. See, we could side with the libertarians on some things, and that's true. Like, the libertarians are right about the ATF. They're right about foreign policy. They're right about some, but not all economic things. I don't think that Trump is doing a disservice by chasing libertarian voters. I don't think... Now, it is true they're not a big portion of the electorate, but still. Scarmy says, unpopular opinion, but I think the GOP needs to win the favor of trade unions. I'm a union pipe fitter, and everyone in my shop votes Republican. Well, I agree, but I think the GOP can win union workers without getting the endorsements of unions. They're already doing it. And they are getting some endorsements of unions, but it's like saying, we can get Hispanics to vote for us without endorsing amnesty. I mean, we've done that, actually. I think you could do the same thing without supporting the union bosses, many of whom are corrupt, don't care about their workers, you name it. So we'll see. But yeah, everyone in chat's talking about the libertarian nominee, and he sucks. Libertarians now, they've been forced to vote for Trump. 40% of the convention goers, of all people, voted against this guy. They said no candidate, which basically is a de facto vote for Trump. They went no candidate over Chase Oliver. They should have gone no candidate, period. But Oliver is somebody who is very far left. He's very far left. He's somebody who's far left who might, I think, like low taxes or something like that. Well, so does Trump. Like, the farther right guy from Pennsylvania that actually could have made an impact lost the nomination by a hair. So there's that. Dave M says Rove and Bush solidly behind Phelan. Yeah, well, we'll see if their influence is waning in the remainder of these vote dumps here. Luke Newman for 2 says, is Monica De La Cruz Rhino or a MAGA? I think that she's neither. I think she's just like run of the mill. So not the worst, not probably the best. I know her district's kind of competitive, so I'm not gonna fret about it. Someone says Oliver sunk Herschel Walker. Maybe it's possible, but at the end of the day, I don't think people knew who he was back then. They wanted to vote for somebody to protest both candidates. That in this election is basically the RFK Jr. constituency. I don't think it's going to negatively impact Trump a lot. So I don't know if Oliver single-handedly sunk Walker. I do think he probably took more votes from Walker, though, because people didn't like Warnock, but then Walker had scandals. They didn't want to back him. Joseph Zamborski says Tammy Baldwin news true. I don't know anything about Tammy Baldwin recently. Let's see. I see nothing. I see no news about Tammy Baldwin, so you're going to have to elaborate. Let's see. Someone said El Paso County is reporting, and it is. But Herrera's not doing that bad. Honestly, that's better than I thought from what I could tell. But I would be more worried based off of what comes in these two counties, because these were Gonzalez's strongest in round one. But there are a lot of places where Gonzalez is underperforming round one, which is, I guess, a good sign. We'll see. We have more votes in from these districts. And yeah, there's only one incumbent is winning so far, besides Phelan. And Phelan's lost a lot of ground. M says the LP aligns more with the Greens than the GOP. I agree. I mean, they serve the same purpose, essentially. They're very far left on social issues in many cases. They're not like, oh, well, we're right-wing. We're like a, very conservative libertarian, or we support, we support a night watchman state and conservative values, anything like that, which, again, I think is kind of a useless philosophy in the modern day. Because I don't think we could deregulate our way out of our problems like a lot of libertarians think. But do I have respect for people like Ron Paul and that type of libertarian? Yeah, I do. I think on foreign policy, they're very, very solid. Maybe not the party itself, but, you look at the actual libertarians and libertarian thinkers and people like that. Henry says, if Hornberger or Rechtenwald won the nomination, I would have voted libertarian. Well, you'd still be throwing your vote away. I can't back that. You'd still be throwing away your vote. I mean, depending on the state you're in especially. If you lived in Michigan and you vote for Rechtenwald instead of Trump, you're shooting America in the face. You're not going to get a libertarian president with all the illegals that are going to get amnesty under a Biden administration. Just strategically, libertarians should vote Republican. And even from the economic perspective, you're not going to get an authentically, right-wing economic policy with all these people coming in that are going to get government benefits, period. You're not going to be able to convince a lot of these people to support that philosophy. You're not. That's the problem with open borders. You can't have libertarianism and open borders at the same time. It doesn't work. Because if you have the open border, you have people coming, you know how they're going to vote. You know they're going to get amnesty. These people support amnesty. Chase Oliver supports amnesty. Samuel Marinoff says, hate to be that guy, but it's pronounced Covey. I like saying Covey. It just feels like it's more natural. I don't know. Herrera's at 43. So he's gaining. He is gaining. 50% of the vote is in. He's gaining a little bit. It's closer than I thought it would be. It's closer than I thought it would be at a very, very minimum. So that is positive. We'll see. We will see. We have some libertarian in chat saying deport every damn person who's got to send. I agree. See, I agree. We could come to an agreement with a lot of these people. We can. I'm more of a populist. But there are some things that we can get along with libertarians and the paleo-libertarians and paleo-cons. Can we have some sort of coalition? I think so. The Rizzler 213 says, if Trump wins Pennsylvania, he's all but won the election. And do you think Republicans will continue to do well with black Americans even after Trump? Well, that's a good question. But it depends on the direction the party takes. It does. Trump is a unique phenomenon. You could very well see this black shift right this year. We didn't expect a Hispanic shift to what we saw, and we did. We saw it exactly unfold. So could we see a black shift this time? Again, it's a demographic that has historically 90% Dem every single time, or at least close to that. Could Trump get 17, 18? Would it surprise me? No, it would not. Because Trump's a unique phenomenon. That's the thing. He is unlike many other people in regards to this. He can somehow pull things out of his ass and make it work. Maybe he'll be the one to do it. I don't know. I'd love for him to do it, but we'll see. It would be phenomenal if it did happen. It would be. But is it going to? I can't say. So, again, Herrera's gaining a little bit of support as more votes do come in. And they lowered Bexar County to 55% in. Now, that could be good or bad depending on how those votes remain. We'll see. But yeah, it's poll to poll. Cuellar's seat got called. Well, that's good because the good candidate was winning last time I checked. Okay, we have more votes in. Jefferson County put more votes in, and it didn't move. It did not move. That's really good, actually, because that is Phelan's best county. So if Jefferson County couldn't move this race, then Covey's still got a shot. But we'll see. And more votes come in, and Herrera is winning Hudspeth County. That is one of the best counties in round one. It gave Gonzalez a near majority, 49% of the vote. He's losing ground. He's losing a substantial amount of ground from round one so far in that county. I don't know. You know, I'm not saying it's over, but am I saying that it's as bad as I thought it was going to be? And you know, at the start of the stream, no, it's not. It looks better. I'm not saying that Herrera is still going to pull this off or whatever, but it looks a lot better for Covey or whatever you want to pronounce his name as. He is narrowing the gap significantly. He's got it down to 12.8%. 12.8%. But you look at the state house races. So Van Dever's still winning. Barely. He's winning by 10, but that he's had a 10-point lead all night. The good news is that there's not really a lot of these incumbents are going down tonight. They're going down. Lowe is winning in the 91st. Wyatt says, I love Herrera, but it's a bummer he's going to lose. No real point in coping about it. Hopefully Gonzalez shapes up. Yeah, I'm not coping about it necessarily. I thought he would fall short, but, you know, it is part of the process. If you run a challenge that's very close, it will light a fire under the other person. We've seen this. We saw it with Nancy Mace. We've seen it with a lot of people. So is it really a cope or is it a law of politics? I feel like it's probably both, but you can't just dismiss it as a cope that doesn't matter or whatever, because that's not an accurate way of looking at this. Ismael Campos says, do you think it was Trump's ultimate goal to just win over liberal voters at the convention rather than winning the party nom? Well, you mean libertarian, not liberal. And yes, it was not about winning the nomination. He knew that he probably knew he was going to get booed when he said that. I mean, he went into the lion's den and he came out unscathed. He gave a full speech. All the talk about him getting booed off stage, it's all fake. You know, he was booed at times. He was cheered at times. You know, you're in a room full of children, essentially. You know, the fact that he's getting booed, I think, spoke more about the Libertarian Party than it did about anything else. You know, when's Biden facing a hostile crowd? You want to say the State of the Union is a hostile crowd? I can't say it. Joseph Zamborski says Liberty Daily stealing campaign money. I don't know what that is or what that refers to. Johnny Heartdog says, oh, Texas is turning blue. What are we going to do? That's the funny thing about this is I heard people saying that Dade Phelan losing would turn Texas blue. Dade Phelan is the one giving Democrats power. That's the problem. You know, I heard, oh, well, if they put all these other people in office, it's going to hurt the brand of it's not going to hurt the brand. These people have big money backing them up anyways, and they're not that controversial. They're not even like that far right or whatever. They're just standard conservatives who stand their ground, just like the Texas Senate is full of actual conservatives. The Texas House is full of rhinos. They need to go. That's the problem. Dustin Enoch says Herrera is young. This is a good start for his career. I agree. And he should be proud of himself. Because that result against an incumbent without a Trump endorsement, and you possibly get 45, 46% of the vote, yeah, I think that and an improvement from round one nonetheless. Yeah, it is indeed a net positive for him and his career, big time. There's no debate about it. So we'll see. We don't have any more votes in. Johnny Hartog says, of course you know. Yeah, I know. I know you were joking. But we'll see. Let's see, 56 to 40. Yeah, I mean, 50% of the vote is in. Herrera basically would need to get 57% of that to win, 56, 57. I don't know if he's going to be able to, but it is true. The one county that's all the way in, he's at 51. Gonzalez is at 49. That is a county Gonzalez got I think it was his best county. He got 60% in that county. That was indeed his best county. So he lost his best county with every vote in. So maybe there's a shot. I just don't know. Unless he just spent all of his energy in the social or all of his campaign resources in the San Antonio media market, which is possible. Punch a Bunch Bear says Texas is in rhino country the same way Florida is MAGA country. I disagree. I completely disagree. I would have agreed a couple of years ago that, the MAGA brand doesn't work well in Texas. I feel like that's changing. I feel like it's turning the corner. And you could have made the same case for Florida. Florida was a rhino state. The Jeb Bush era, Bush would win it. But Trump was the one to resurrect the GOP in Florida. And he's also doing the same thing in Texas, even if people want to blame him. It's not his fault that Democrats started to turn out Latinos, but now partially because of Trump is that some of them are starting to move right. Oh, we have another shift. It's within 10. It's within 10. It is within 10. I don't know where that came from, but it got to be within 10. It's not over yet. It is not over yet. Not quite. Reagan counties all the way in. So of the counties all the way in, I mean, they did take some votes away. I don't know, but it's within 10. It's not done yet. It is not done. He is gaining. He is indeed gaining. This is not over. Not quite. We'll see. But hey, it looks like Herrera has an ounce of life. That's why you don't call the race too early. MS1711 says, here's how Bernie Sanders can. So true. So true. Andrew M says, just tuned in. Are we winning tonight? Actually, yes. Most races, the rhinos are losing. The high-profile races, they have leads, but they are being trimmed down, so we'll see. Wyatt says, such a low vote count in such an important county is why our political situation sucks. Nobody pays attention. Then they complain when the party sucks. Well, if you look at the Democrats in Texas, they're not really doing the best job with political participation either, to be fair. So I'm not entirely sure that you could say that it's just a Republican problem here. I said they took votes away. I think that there were votes in a county that they took out. Maybe they were put in wrong or something. I don't know. We'll see. The Rizzler 213 says, idea of Lee Zeldin or Gabbard as Trump's VP. Well, we've seen reports that he's ruled out Gabbard. I don't know if that's true. I like Lee. I mean, I don't think he's going to be chosen, but I like him. He's not a bad choice electorally. Tulsi's a wild card. I don't think Trump wants to gamble. I think she's good for the cabinet, good in foreign policy. But VP, I don't know. I could see why he wouldn't want to pick somebody to be VP. That's an 80-year-old harpied away from the presidency who literally supported Biden in 2020. So there you go. Now, do I think that her change is a little genuine? Yeah, even if it's motivated by the hatred she has for the DNC. I think it is genuine. I'd love to see her do the VP debate regardless of whoever the VP is, because I'd love to see her destroy Kamala Harris again. That's the number one positive for Tulsi as VP. Tommy Leo 1 says, holy, I thought Herrera was down for the count, but every single dump he gains ground. It's true. He does gain. I don't know. Is it going to be enough, though? That's the real question. I can't say it. I can't say it yet. It's looking it's looking like this is also going down the wire. How do the remainder of the votes come in these counties? It looks good based off of what we see in Jasper County for Covey to make up the ground, but Jefferson is a big county. It is true the margin narrowed though in the county, and Phelan did not gain any ground. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the rest of the night. Milky Way Gaming says, I'm afraid Herrera might lose in November. Remember, Michigan's third. Okay, let's do the math. And I'm not saying that you're coming from a bad place when you're saying that, because I've seen a lot of people that are coming from a bad place say that, though. And John Gibbs underperformed Trump by 4 points despite a big drag at the top of the ticket. If you see Herrera lose by or underperform Trump by 4. He wins by probably around 6, given the shift of the district. So I'm not worried at all. Democrats don't really have the strongest candidate for this race, and Trump being on the top of the ticket is everything. It is. This district's moving right. I'm not worried entirely about it. We'll see what happens. Quiet part out loud for $20 says Red Eagle is dead on tonight. Texans are truly waking up on MAGA, and they trust Paxton. People are really becoming distrustful of the establishment. Yeah, it's part of it. I mean, even look at this. Without a Trump endorsement, Herrera's getting 45 so far. Now, unless there's a big dump for Gonzalez out of nowhere, it seems like the Trump endorsement probably would have put him over the top. Which is a little disappointing in my opinion that he didn't get one. I think he deserved one. He didn't get it. Dustin Enoch says Herrera's winning most border counties. Yeah, the one he's not winning is Jeff Davis County, but that's is that even a border county? I don't know. Jeff Davis County, isn't that one of those counties that voted for Trump or he had a big red shift? Well, it was always a red county, apparently, so maybe not. Maybe not. But we'll see. Paxton does it. Yeah, exactly. Keep these people out of Texas. Look, a lot of people moving to Texas are not your liberals. They're not. But in Austin, they are, and that's where a lot of people are moving. That's the problem. Trump did very well in the primary. Compared to statewide, the only place Haley really did noticeably well was the Austin area. Travis County, she got 39 or 30 something. Trump got 59% though. And again, it's an open primary, a lot of crossovers. And you could blame crossovers if Phelan wins, which we'll see what's really left. But I may claim to rather be David Covey right now. I might claim to rather be him if I'm in this race, because of what's remaining. How many of the vote is in from Jefferson? We don't know the raw vote totals. Maybe Decision Desk has them. I don't know. But you got the Texas runoff. Decision Desk revamped their site. It's kind of a little annoying at this point. They don't even show the runoffs. But we don't have that raw data just yet. More votes are in, and it didn't move. Where did those votes come in from? A little bit in Bexar County. A little bit. Did not move whatsoever. Did not move the margin. So it's within 10, but it's better than it was looking. Because it was looking like he'd need 57, 58% of the remainder of the vote. Now it's looking like he's getting that. He's outrunning that based off of what we've seen in the vote dumps. But it's not over. Neither of these races are over, but they have my attention. I was like, oh, do we really want to do this stream for 2 hours at the rate it was going? And it's like, yeah, we do actually now. We do. Does Herrera have a shot? He has more of a shot than we thought. I wouldn't say that he's got the biggest shot to win in the world, but I don't know. I don't even know if Polymarket does, if they have betting odds for these races. Polymarket is a lot more comprehensive than predicted, it seems, but the way it's set up is just, it's tough. Yeah, they don't even have a market that I could find for it. But election night will be fun, like this November. But primaries, they're not done yet. They go until August, depending on the plays. I am Charles says, since the deep state is guilty of what they accuse Trump of, do you think they would have the cojones to form their own coup? They'll try something. They're less competent than you think. The average person that's working in the deep state now is some androgynous blob person, got, piercings, whatever. Like, people need to understand, the more the millennials like get older, like, these are incompetent people that are getting in these positions of power. They're overplaying their hand already with the Biden administration. These are not like the tactful left of the past either. We talk about the GOP kind of being incompetent at times, and it's all valid, but we can't pretend like the left is like the most competent in the world. They're not, and you're seeing that unfold. They've overplayed their hand. They're on the wrong side of history, and I think that they're realizing it to a certain degree. Joel's Plumbing for 5 says we should not be... Oh, here we go. We should not be supporting Trump. He supports Israel. Conservatives I talk to on Twitter agree with me. No, it's, again, all of that is just nonsense. I tell people this. There's not a single politician in the country that has your viewpoint. And you could say that there's legitimate criticisms. You could say that Trump shouldn't give foreign aid. I'll probably agree with a good portion of that. The problem is when you say things like that and expect politicians to meet you in the middle on that. If saying Israel's worse, it's not worse than Hamas. Hamas shouts death to America. Are there problems with Israel? Yeah. Does that mean that Hamas is your friend? No. Is it an idiotic statement to say that? Absolutely it is. So, again, and even if you oppose Israel and what they're doing, I think Trump would be the better option for both sides, because he wants to get the war over with, stop the violence on both sides, make deals, set peace. I say the same thing with the Ukraine-Russia arguments from both sides. I think Trump is the better candidate for both sides, and I think he's the better candidate for both sides. That's why you have Arab Muslims and Orthodox Jews both shifting towards Trump, because they want the violence to stop for different reasons on both sides of the argument. But I will say this, is that Twitter and conservatives on Twitter are not conservatives in the real world. Otherwise, Herrera would be up by 95% right now. And that's the bottom line. So you could say, well, people on Twitter say they don't support. Like, conservatives in the real world, they are vehemently pro-Israel. Vehemently. Too much, honestly, at times. They want to double foreign aid, triple foreign aid, you name it. But to say that, the real world, Trump needs to oppose it, he'd lose his own support, mainly from these evangelicals who believe that the state of Israel, for some reason, is like the real Holy Land. Or the biblical Israel, which is not technically true. But still, the land is similar. But this notion that, we have to oppose Israel, or Trump has to oppose Israel, it'd be a net negative for his viability if he was. And, the donor class, we know the donor class is very pro-Israel for the most part. You do have some that are anti. Even I think Soros is funding some of these protesters or whatever. And an argument I've seen from some of the anti-Israel people is that, well, he's actually just trying to make them look bad or whatever, but it's like he's inadvertently electing Trump. So, I don't know. I don't know if that fully adds up. But what could I say? It's not an issue I care about a whole lot either way. I think there's people on both sides of the argument that make dumb arguments, but I think that arguments like that, you can't support Trump because it's just stupid. Even a lot of the so-called anti-Israel conservatives that you claim to know from Twitter, they support Trump still because Trump is just the better candidate overall. That's the bottom line. So we'll see. Scarmy says the truth is that if Israel wasn't fighting Iran-backed proxies at this moment, then the U.S. would... Exactly. And who gives money to Iran? We've been giving money to Iran. We give money to the enemies of Israel, and we give money to Israel. I'd rather just give money to our own country. I'd rather fund our own southern border. I'd rather not have people die on any side of any conflict. That's it. Big Boy Burke says odds Brandon clinches. Well, I honestly would say it depends what's left, but probably around 20 to 30% if you want the brutal, honest truth, but I hope that it's higher. Wyatt says Israel's justified should be more brutal. Well, if they want, they're going to defend themselves is what they're going to do. That's not me shilling for them. That's not me getting paid by them like some people have accused me of being, which is kind of weird because I'm probably one of the larger voices that's skeptical of our involvement in the conflict. But, they have the right to defend themselves. They probably are doing some unethical things because that's what people do during war. You think we're innocent? You think the other sides are innocent? You think Ukraine or Russia are innocent? Of course not. But that's what happens. That's what happens. There are legitimate criticisms of a lot of different countries, though, I will say. The Jaded Kriegsman says, foreign aid is a tool. It's stupid to say you will stop giving it out, period, just as it's stupid to give it out with a limited no strings. Well, I'm not saying, look, you got to make deals. Our country's a business, and I think that Trump is right when he says we should be running our country like a business. The thing is, in regards to foreign aid, if we're going to give it out, we better be getting something in return. I have a problem when Trump said about Ukraine, oh, we'll do it as a loan because how are we going to get it back? That's another question. Not entirely sure. But again, if we want to sell arms to different countries, let them buy them from us, whatever, I don't have a problem with that. Foreign aid in general depends on how it's done. Why don't we give money to Israel and then they stop sending us all these gender transition drugs? These are things that they've done that I have problems with, and I think it's valid that you can mention that. And it's not wrong. It's not anti-Semitic or whatever. And when you say stupid things like that or any criticism is, you're actually just, you're sending all of those talking points to the side that you claim to detest so much, and you're ceding that ground. But in terms of foreign aid, yeah, it's conditional. There's a lot of things that I would probably want to get out of Israel if we're giving aid to them, for example. But again, we've given aid. How many years have we given them money? It's like stuff like this. We built the defense system that shot down the Iranian missiles as well. Okay, we've done that. Do we still have to keep giving and increase aid? And it goes to all these countries. Ukraine, we give more to Ukraine than Israel. I don't want to give any to Ukraine. It's not our problem. How much does the EU give these countries? And not enough compared to the population proportion that they hold in the West to what we hold in the West. What's Japan doing? What's Japan? What are these other nations doing? What's South Korea giving? These are questions that need to be answered too. And it's not wrong to ask questions. It doesn't make one a Russian asset or an anti-Semite to question the foreign aid. It doesn't. And if you say that, you're a joke and you have no business being in politics because you basically have the reasoning skills as a child. So, that's it. Sir, thanks a lot, says Republicans and conservatives need to realize geopolitics is just as important as domestic politics. We have to save America, but need to maintain allies. Look, I agree we need to maintain allies. We need to maintain allegiances, but there's a lot of allies that will take advantage of us. They will. And it's not just Israel, it's not just Ukraine, it's a lot of countries. Canada, Australia, the UK, a lot of countries, France, for example, these countries take advantage of us. We pay for militaries for a lot of these countries in Europe, and we have no business doing that when we can't even secure our own southern border. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We don't have to go out there and make sure that meddle in every possible conflict. Meddling gave us these conflicts. More meddling gave us the Russian invasion. More meddling presumably has given us 10-7 as well. So we have to de-escalate. We have to move forward. We've got to claw out of our position that we're in the world stage. That's what we have to do. So Jefferson's all the way in, and Covey gained. He gained out of Jefferson. He gained a little bit. That's huge. He gained, and that county's done for. It's done for, and he gained. So that's what I have to say. But that's my take on it. That's my take on foreign policy. Armenia doesn't get any attention. I don't believe that we should be giving them foreign aid, but that's a country that actually is at risk of getting invaded, at risk of getting demolished. They're strategically in the area. They're a Christian nation surrounded by hostility. They don't exactly get the same level of recognition as some of these other countries. And they probably should. And I'm not just saying that because I am ethnically Armenian. I'm not an ethno-narcissist. I don't believe we need to be funding Armenia. I don't believe that we need to, be going to war for Armenia, or that we need to do X, Y, and Z. But I do believe that there are some more legitimate type of type of gripes with the future existence of Armenia than there are about, is Ukraine not going to exist tomorrow, or is Palestine? They don't have the manpower to beat Israel. They don't have it. You look at the numbers, the raw numbers, they don't have it. Hamas and Hezbollah, combine them with the Israel army, and that doesn't even count for the reserves. They don't have the manpower to take them on and win. Ravino for 5 says Trump has an 80% approval rating in Israel. Israel loves America. Palestinians celebrate 9/11, chant death to America. Why are we fighting Israel? I'm not fighting Israel. I'm not fighting them. And I think that there are things that Israel has done that are legitimate to critique. That being said, I don't succumb to this notion that, every single politician who gives vague verbal support to Israel needs to be somebody we don't need to vote for or whatever. Because you do have people that say that, but that's mainly a terminally online take. And you're not helping your side. These people don't help their side or help their case with a lot of the things that they say. Central Kentucky Elevator says even in 1988, Lloyd Bentsen voiced support for nations to share the burden in national defense cost. I wish Texas Dems were more like him and less like Beto. Yeah, Beta, we should say. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Democrats won't win Texas because they're a really bad cultural fit for Texas. And Donald Trump he's proven himself. And the Texas suburbs, they're more evangelical than people think. They're not, Democrats are hitting a bit of a wall. And whatever voters that they think that they could pick up from two-time Trump voters because of Mo 1-6 or whatever, that's counteracted by possible Hispanic trends. And again, black voters staying home, I think, is a bigger problem for them than necessarily, black voters shifting to Trump. But both hurt them. A black voter that stays home gives Trump a net vote, and one who flips to Trump gives Trump 2. That's the thing. Johnny Heartdog says, regarding Ukraine, I mean a little bit by supporting Ukraine, we weaken Russia, but again, focus on our debt. And again, we were the one who meddled in Ukraine in the first place. They had a government that was somewhat pro-Russia, and we took them out. We took them out, replaced them with an actor named Zelensky, and he's been the guy that's been there, and they've been fighting with Russia time and time again. And you have the election deniers of the highest order in regards to a lot of these referendums in the places that Russia wants to take in terms of their level of support for joining Russia. They say, these are rigged, they say. And it's like probably that these people grew up with, Putin propaganda or whatnot, but this notion that they're fake or that these people don't want to join Russia, I believe that a lot of them do. And I think when it comes down to cutting a deal, Trump's going to have to do it strategically. Russia doesn't move on anymore on Ukraine, but then Russia might get access to these Russian regions where you have ethnic Russians that have been mistreated by the newer Ukrainian government. And those type of people possibly, if they want to join Russia, they should be able to join Russia. I just like Greater Idaho. If Eastern Washington and Oregon want to join Idaho, they should join Idaho. But again, it could lead to chaos. And will other states, will you see, areas of rural or urban Texas secede from Texas and weaken Texans' power while giving Democrats more power? Like, there's a lot of different nuances to this type of stuff. Noah Bowdy says the main problem is Israel lobby owns the political system. That's why no one speaks out against them and we bend over backwards. Well, I agree that big money should not have a say in politics. There's no need. And no lobby should have the power that any lobby really has in terms of these big organizations. AIPAC, they try to take out people. They try to take out Thomas Massey because he doesn't support foreign aid. They were calling him an anti-Semite. It's like, no, again, this is not serious politics in general. It's not. Even tonight, they've been giving money to Gonzalez, and he's up by 9. And without that money, would he be up by 9? I don't know. These people, and it's serious, and you should be able to talk about it, is what I'm saying. Ilhan Omar, she probably does not like Jews very much. I mean, she's Somali, she's Muslim, you name it. But in terms of her critiques on AIPAC, AIPAC you can critique without necessarily saying, I hate Israel, or all these other things that these people say. I think that there's a nuanced way of looking at the argument. There is. I think that big money in politics in general shouldn't be there. I think the NRA is controlled opposition too in many ways. The NRA does not support gun rights. They're the ones that have supported all the gun control that people like to get mad at Trump for talking about. They've supported red flag laws. They've supported the bump stock ban, which thankfully is not it's not in effect anymore. And a lot of Republicans that write gun control laws, they get money from the NRA too. I think that, and they're a big donor as well. But no, I know what you mean. I understand. Logan Leroy says, I would argue that it wasn't meddling that caused these problems with foreign affairs. It was meddling combined with signaling weakness that we wouldn't back up. Well, yeah, it's a lot of things. We have stupid people running our country. That's the problem. You have people that don't know what they're doing, and they get us in all this chaos, and then they blame the people who call them out on it. And that's the problem. Dave M. says, no one cared when Russia took Crimea in 2014. Now they act like Ukraine is our most important ally. Ukraine is as corrupt as Russia. Well, they are, and that's the thing. I'm not a defender of Putin or whatever. We like the memes, the base Putin meme. It's a meme. It's not entirely real. And I'm not going to be one of these people that says it's not real because they have a high abortion rate either, because it's a former Soviet area. Ukraine, Belarus, they all have very high rates of degeneracy and things like that. There's no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, it is true that nobody cared. Obama, on the debate stage with Romney, said your foreign policy's outdated. The Democrats put out a tweet, the hashtag Romney not ready. They said Romney not ready because Romney was very anti-Russia. And they said, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have the experience to know this. And Obama was congratulating Putin, told Medvedev or Putin or whoever it was at the time that he had more flexibility after the election in regards to his policy with Russia. So, yeah, a lot of it is just conditional. A lot of it is the current thing. And that's not to say that Russia's our friend. Okay, Phelan gained more. I don't know where that came from, but he did gain more. I think it was in Jefferson. He gained more in Jefferson. There's more vote in Jefferson left. But he still only leads by 1,400 votes, so it's not over yet. It's not over. Let's see. Sir Thanks a Lot says, we did not remove Ukrainian's government. He was disliked in Ukraine and moving Ukraine away from the EU to Russian market. They wanted the research. It's Kremlin propaganda. Well, okay, are you going to remove people's government because they're vastly disliked? Is that a precedence you want to set? Because we could go look at the approval ratings, and we could take it from there. Donald H. says, what would you say is worse, rich private citizens who avoid paying taxes or politicians who use their public office to make themselves richer? I think that it's probably, it depends. I think it probably would be the politicians. If my politician is doing good, though, I don't care if they live in a nice house or they make money off speeches or whatever. If you want to make some money in government and do things that benefit the people at the same time, do it. The problem is it's very rare where you see both, and that's the main problem. Now, in terms of rich private citizens avoiding taxes, they already do. They rarely do it illegally. Like, they got mad at Trump. Well, he doesn't pay that much taxes. It's like, well, that he said it makes him smart, and it does make him smart, because why pay the taxes when you could take advantage of all the loopholes that Hillary Clinton and all of her little friends were taking advantage of back in 2016? Back in the debate, he called it out. It's true. Let's see. More super chats here. Philip Coggins says, there's no national interest so vital to the U.S. to threaten war with Russia, who controls over who controls Donbass and Crimea. I agree. These places are filled with Russian individuals. Crimea is 82% Russian. 82%. If they want to be a part of Russia, then I don't think it's a problem, and it wouldn't be out of the ordinary that they would. Now, again, the people that say, well, this is what Hitler did with Austria. It's apples to oranges. You can't make World War II comparisons for everything. Again, not serious people in politics. That's what it is. But again, that's who's in politics. You have a lot of not so serious people. That's the problem. But like I said, I'm not pro-Russia. I'm not pro-Ukraine either. I'm not going to defend them out of Russia derangement syndrome. There's a middle ground. But let's see. Quiet Part Out Loud says, is Jasper County in yet? My cheap ass doesn't have NYT. Yeah, it's partially in. It's 48% in. So we'll have to see how it shakes out down the stretch. But Herrera's at 46. So the way that he's gaining, he gained in the past 15%. He gained like 4. He gained 4%. So there's hope. There's a little bit of hope. But I missed a few super chats. We'll see. Ismail Campus says, does Mike Johnson say House Speaker? We'll see. It's worth revisiting. It is worth revisiting. But it depends on how big our majority is, because you can't, if you have a majority that's so narrow where you have rhinos that'll just hold out, if you have a decent speaker, well, a little bit of a problem there. So we need to make deals. Do I think that Johnson could be better under a Trump presidency? Yeah, because he's going to be forced to fall in line. His problem is he doesn't have a spine, but if Trump is the one calling the shots instead of Biden, then, well, he's going to have to listen to whatever Trump says. He'll have to carry the water. Now, if it doesn't mean that he's let off the hook for anything that he's done, but it is true the guy can't do much. That's not to say that he can't do more, but he can't do much. M says, riddle me this, Rep. What do Henry Kissinger, Epstein, and Soros have in common? They're old elites. It's true. I know you're probably fishing for some other answer, but the main common denominator is what I said. Okay. Nice try. Let's see. CCM28 for 10 says, Rep, I'm currently zoned for South Carolina 6, but I'm registered in my home district, South Carolina 2. Is there any good in changing my registration, the only Democrat district in South Carolina, or vote for Wilson again? Well, if you have a new house or you moved, you should probably register in the new place. I mean, that would probably be following the law, I would assume, unless you spend time in both or whatever. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. Quiet Part Out Loud says, are you able to see if Jasper County is in yet? My cheap ass doesn't have a New York Times paid account and can't see. Oh, we already did that one. Buck Hunter 431 says all the rhinos would throw a tantrum. I hope that Herrera does win, but we'll see. We have 37% of the vote left. Dillybod for 20 says the people in the comments can't handle that you don't support both sides. I agree with you. I focus on America because I'm American. Screw the world. It's kind of true, but I'm not even going to say screw the world. All right. That's a straw man. I'm just saying that there is nuance, and in terms of protecting our interests, it's not all black and white. That's what I said. Okay. That's it. So, and you have to play the game you're in too. You can't be going out here and thinking that you're really going to break the system if you're willing to touch every third rail imaginable out of the sake of, being based or, button mashing or whatever you want to call it. You have to play the game you're in. That's why I like Donald Trump, is because he's doing that, and he's effective at doing so, more so than not, and that's the main problem. So, but we'll see. Was Tony Gonzalez the former tight end? No. Again, actually, wait a minute. I knew I was going to get asked this. That's why I made this. We have this. Hold on. We have this. We have Tony Gonzalez. We have Tony Gonzalez. And then we have, over here, we have Anthony Gonzalez. We have, these two were NFL players, Tony and Anthony. And Anthony and this Tony Gonzalez with an S, they were rhinos. And then they all three have the same name. They're all Mexican. Tony Gonzalez and Tony Gonzalez are in their 40s. And then Anthony Gonzalez and Tony Gonzalez, they did both play in the NFL. He was a tight end for the Chiefs and Falcons. He was a wide receiver for the Colts back in the day. Not very good, by the way. But I don't believe that Tony Gonzalez, from what I could tell, is a Republican or will ever run for office. So, yeah, I made the chart just for that. I wanted to make that clear. Let's see. American exceptionalist says Israel is not a true ally. Christians are persecuted. The cross is censored in textbook, and they're making Bethlehem less Christian. Well, it's not a Christian nation. It's true. I'm not defending that. There are possibly some questions about how they've treated the Armenian Quarter and things like that. But, these other countries that surround it are far worse for Christians, and you'd be fooling yourself if you believed otherwise. I mean, Christian faith is not illegal. Proselytization's illegal. It's not, they don't have like a First Amendment in Israel, but they, in terms of the top 50 nations of Christian persecution, they're not in the top 50. And the firm that conducted it actually has called out everything you've called out. They're not like owned by Israel or any of that stuff. So again, there are things that are not 100% perfect about Israel, but again, I think that there's a lot that's imperfect with the other side as well. I will say that, and probably more than that. If you had Palestine, if we imported from Palestine, if we imported a lot of these Arabs in the Arab world into America, they're not going to be Christian. They're Muslim, and a lot of them have a lot of contempt for not just Jews, but Christians as well. And that's another thing that needs to be taken into account. So, yeah, I think that some of the things that you say are technically true. A lot of it is just not telling the full story. That's the way it is. So, Dilly Bot says, what has the world done for us? Nothing. I guess it's my objectivism. Well, I think you're right in many ways. I think just in the current system, these ideologies like objectivism, you're not going to be able to realistically implement it. You're not. M says, we do a little trolling. Donald John America. So true. Joseph Zamborski says, Senator Tammy Baldwin accused of criminally laundering $28 million in campaign contributions from Smirts by President of Election Watch. I have not heard of that before. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a joke. I don't see anything about it on Twitter. I see rhinos coping. I see people that happen to be white pilling themselves over some of the results, which is good. We have ways to go. I think Jasper County looks very good for David Covey, or however you pronounce his name. It's like they're mad because of the fact that people who are actually conservative are winning. How could this possibly be? Maybe if you don't stab your own party in the back nonstop, then you wouldn't see all these rhinos lose. I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't see all these rhinos lose. I don't know. Herrera keeps gaining. He's got it under, or he's got it under 7. We've got votes remaining. Where are the votes coming in from? Where's Bexar County? He's gaining in Bexar County with the recent vote dumps. That's good news. If that continues, that's going to be very decisive. If he's able to get in the mid to high 40s by the end of the night, he's got a shot at victory. But that's a big if. And again, we don't have other information about which parts of which county is in here as well. So Wyatt says, other than the guns, why is Tony bad? He's bad on a lot of things. He's weak on immigration. He voted for the 1-6 commission. He's not good. I mean, it's not just guns. It's not just Trump. It's a lot of things that he's weak on. It's a lot of things. Foreign aid, very, very liberal in the sense that he's just willing to sign over any amount of money to any other country who wants it. That's it. And he voted to he codified gay marriage into law. He codified it, basically bypassing what should be the correct constitutional decision, semi-codifying Obergefell v. Hodges into federal law, because that's basically what it does. And it's not constitutional, and they did it anyways. He did it anyways. And that's not even in like the top 5 or even 10 things that he's done that have been questionable. The jaded Craigsman says, only country I don't expect Trump to make deals with is the PRC, as in China. Well, I think I disagree. I think China, you have to make deals with China. You have to get along with these people. You got to get along with Putin and Xi and Kim Jong-un. If you want to keep them at bay, you're going to have to do that. That's what a lot of people don't understand. What Trump did worked. His foreign policy worked. He was able to go out there and make sure that he could keep these people at bay. You didn't have any problems. But now you're probably going to have World War III with Biden. China's definitely going to take Taiwan, which again, is that going to be impacting our day-to-day lives as much as the establishment says? Probably not. But at the end of the day, when they do that, it's going to be all-out war. You know how these things work. It would probably be better if they did not do that for obvious reasons. But under Biden, he's weak. People see it. I mean, Trump on foreign policy, on immigration, on the economy, on the argument in general, he's won the argument. The only thing is democracy, they're saying. And like, that's, again, the only people that care about that are far left, not even far, just liberal, brainwashed people. Nobody's going to be talking about that in the real world. Nobody talks about democracy in the real world. I mean, honestly, some people at this point, they might try to say, because it's just a sunk cost in hating Trump, well, he's a sore loser. They'll try to run with that argument. Whatever. Again, how long has it been since the 2020 election? Trump doesn't even talk about it anymore. And do people really care at this stage in the game? Biden basically coming out and saying he's not going to concede. If they're upset at Trump for that, well, why don't they just vote for him then so he wins? You know, if they're upset at him being a sore loser, why make him lose again? You know, you have to think of it from their point of view is what I'm saying. I'm not necessarily saying that there aren't concerns or anything like that. But Biden is going to be a sore loser for real, for sure, objectively real. Thomas Willingham says, well, if I do a VP poll, I'm not going to fit everyone on the list. I can only put, 4 or 5 on a poll? Dave M. says Biden's wife will be making a statement from the White House when the Trump verdict comes in, proving it's political and proving he is complicit. Oh, of course. Of course. It's true that they already know they've lost the narrative. They can't keep a distance from it at this stage in the game, but then they're leaning into the bait that Trump is having. And that's the problem. Oh, we're going to speak on Trump's acquittal or hung jury possibly? If he gets a hung jury, which I think is the most likely outcome, you know what they're going to say. You know exactly what they're going to say. They're going to sit up there and they're going to say, well, this is concerning that a man running for president of the United States is not off the hook. It's like, there's no crime. He didn't commit a crime. And apparently the crime took place after the election from what it's just so much that's contradictory. Jason Christie says, have you seen Rick Becker's Dylan Mulvaney video? I have not. I am tired of hearing and seeing that individual. That person. That I don't even know what you call that at this stage in the game. But single-handedly, they ruined a beer because of it. They ruined a beer. Nobody drinks Bud Light anymore. It's like one of the only cases where a boycott could work because it was so mid and overhyped anyways, and like it becomes the gay beer. Do you think beer drinkers want to be called gay? Of course not. But there is something changing in the woke wave. It's slowing down. It's not done. I'm not saying it can't ramp up again, but I think Elon Musk buying Twitter, I think that's when it started to turn a corner. Because now you have a more open platform. Now you have more of a, people can call things gay again. They can call, they don't care if they get the pronoun right again. They lose their account. Now it's different. Now the other platforms see that, oh, well, the liberal blowback is not impacting Twitter. Maybe they'll grow a spine. Or at least they'll stop. Because all these corporations that are woke, yeah, a lot of them are liberal, but they are mainly, in terms of the things that they do, they are incentivized by what brings in the money. That's all they really care about first and foremost. The profits drive everything. And if they see, hey, well, Harrison Butker's jersey's #1. It's even ahead of Mahomes after he gave that speech. Well, maybe we don't have to cancel him. And they didn't. You had a DEI officer at the NFL give a kind of a gay little tidbit. But other than that, you had coaches coming to his defense, players coming to his defense, even liberals coming to his defense. So that's just one example. It doesn't work the same way as it used to. It doesn't. There's not the same outrage, and they're not artificially inflating things in the algorithm, at least on Twitter, the way they were before. That's not to say it's fully like the wokeness is gone. It's not gone, but is the trajectory the way it was before? I'd like to say no. It is becoming more socially acceptable to support Trump. On the other hand, you could say, well, maybe some people that are like contrarian are going to be less likely to get behind him. But at the end of the day, it's become more and less at the same time. Like in practice, it's been more. But the way the media and the way the establishments crack down on him, I'd say that they're still cracking down on him quite a bit. The one exception might be like CNN, because I'm not saying they're on his side, but they've been surprisingly reasonable in regards to the trial coverage, in regards to some other things. And Covey gained a little bit. He gained a little bit of the vote. There's more vote in Orange that came in, a little bit in Jefferson. He's back up to within 5 points. But I was saying that the media is still more anti-Trump than they were in 2016. It's just for like celebrities and stuff more socially acceptable because they realize that, oh, wait, Trump, all these rappers or whatever getting behind Trump, well, they're not losing any fans. It sets an example, is what it does. It sets an example. But this is the best performance I thought I would ever see from Herrera. I really hope he pulls it off. I really do. You got 35% of the vote remaining. JD Kreisman says 90% of semiconductor markets in Taiwan. That said, Taiwan's 80% mountains. If they could even get a beachhead on the island, they will get slaughtered in the mountains all while we sell them. Exactly. Like, I don't think the day-to-day life of America is going to vastly change if it happens, but that's not to say that, the chip stuff. The problem is we're not making chips in America, and I'm not so sure that the whole Biden chip act that he keeps touting is going to solve the problem either. But our politicians are stupid. They rely on some other nation for a lot of these things, and that nation is at risk of being invaded by China, and then you're wondering why exactly, these people are making all. It's like you're giving it to them. You're not actually protecting American industry. And again, Taiwan, first world country, Japan, first world country. The problem is that these countries are they have protectionism. It's working out for them, and they're making industry. We don't do the same thing. Maybe we don't need to be making all the same things, but televisions and iPhones and all these things, yeah, we need to be making them. Cars, people drive them. And now you have Mexico getting a lot of the plants, and it just doesn't look good. Noah Bowdy says, how hopeful are you that Trump surrounding himself with the right people if he wins any white pills? Well, I think it's going to be better than the first term. Clearly, it's not ideal. It's probably not going to be ideal. I'm not estimating it, but I'm voting for Trump because even in Trump's first term, he had a border under control and foreign affairs were under control. The economy was strong, and we'll have to see. But I tell people that even if Trump's second term is a repeat of his first, we need it. But I think that it likely will be better because you don't have this same, GOP. The lay of the political land is different. He now knows who the snakes are. The problem with the DeSantis people in the primary with all this stuff about, oh, Trump's second term is going to be a repeat of its first. That's technically not historically accurate. Presidents, even Obama's second term, he didn't actually have the same power because he had a Republican Congress, but you look at the cultural trends. We left Obama's second term in a very different position as a country than we went in. And maybe the warning signs were there. You kind of saw a little bit of the preview of the whole BLM stuff with the Trayvon Martin case that started in 2012, but the verdict and everything was 2013. And then you saw more and more social unrest. After that, you saw feminism rise to levels that we've never seen before, social media censorship. You got Trump out of the whole ordeal as part of the blowback, but things got worse under him to an extent as a reaction to him, and it wasn't entirely all his fault, but he should have done more, in my opinion, to push back on some of it legislatively, but it was a lot harder for him to do when he was surrounded by people who were complicit in many ways in a lot of this stuff, and that's kind of an issue. But he did a good job, and that's not to take away from it or to blame him for everything. I think Trump is somebody with good intentions, although I think people do at times expect him to be fully aligned with everything that they believe in, and it's like, no. And that's what I say to the libertarians. It's what I say to the people that were in the Super Chats earlier that were like, well, he's too pro-Israel, whatever. It's like Trump is somebody who is honest and has good intentions. And if you're a libertarian or you want to be scaling back our foreign involvement, which I agree with both of those two major premises, and well, maybe not the libertarian part, but in terms of like gutting the deep state, I agree with libertarians on that. I think that pragmatically speaking, Donald Trump is somebody who is your best choice for numerous reasons. It's true. Jason Christie says, look it up. It's so point. Trust me. It's so, well, if I see it, I see it, but I'm not going to seek it out. I'm not going to seek it out. But yeah, I mean, we're looking at this as a 7-point game. With 50% of the vote in, almost, it was a 17-point game. It narrowed significantly as more votes are coming in, which is absolutely huge. And you look at these counties, the one county that's fully all the way in, you look at Reagan and Sutton, those are the two counties that are all the way in. And those were Gonzalez's best counties in the first round, and in terms of the counties that are in that he's winning, I should say. So it's looking good for him. The state house speaker, this is a little different. There's a lot more we don't know. Jefferson has a lot more people, it seems. But again, there's a lot of vote left in the other counties that'll likely give Covey a big boost. It seems like that Phelan's strongest areas are all the way in. So I'm not saying it's Jover just yet, but we'll have to see. Let's see. Okay. I want to make sure I'm not missing any. Jimbo for 5 says, Justin, Brandon Herrera makes strategic partnership with John Pavlovich Politics and Yakin Election Betting Corp. MAGA, love you, Red, Armenia first. Not Armenia first, America first, but we like Armenia. We do like Armenia. We're not allied with them because of the oil from Turkey and Azerbaijan. Actually, one of the few good things Biden's actually done is come out and acknowledge the Armenian genocide, surprisingly so. But again, a broken clock is always going to be right at some point, just nature. Merc IWNL says, how's the night going? Just tuning in? Well, a lot of rhinos have gone down, but the most two high-profile rhinos, they are still there. They're still in the running. We'll see. Sam Madsen says, what would you say the first woke year was, 2015? That's when it started to get out of hand, but I don't know much about the whole Gamergate stuff. That was kind of before my time, but I feel like a lot of that was before Trump. So I think 2014 was like when that started to kick in, the wokeness. I think it probably peaked in 2020, 2021, and then I think the tide in 22, 23, that's when it started to change. Less censorship is good, and we see that now. So, exactly. Nate says, you're a real one. Well, thank you. You're a real one for giving the 5. M says, do you think Gonzalez could resign if he loses? Well, that's pointless. I mean, the term that why he's going to rage quit. I mean, we've seen it before though, so it's unlikely. It is unlikely, in my opinion, that he just resigns out of spite. You think he resigns out of spite or something? I don't know. But we'll have to take a look at it when the time comes. But I'm getting a little antsy waiting for some more results to pour in. It is true that the one county that just dropped is now Gonzalez's best county. But how did it do in round one? That's the real question. Round one, it gave Gonzalez 42. So you probably do see a late vote dump surge for Brandon, but it's impressive that Brandon is winning places that Gonzalez got above 50% in round one. It proves that it's not over. This is a hard-fought race, a very low turnout indeed, but it's definitely a hard-fought race, and there's several takeaways you can have. But I am proud of the showing Herrera's had tonight. I didn't think he would do that well. I thought he would lose by like 20. Maybe even by more. And, well, M says he resigns to screw Johnson and the GOP majority. Well, I mean, like I said, it's possible, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, it's a 6-point game now, 6.2%, 67% of the vote remaining. So if you want to do the math, that's about a third of the vote. You times that by 3, divide that by 2, add it to 50. Herrera needs 59.3% of the remainder of the vote to win. Now, could he get that? He could. Is it likely? It's possible he has a very disappointing finish and falls just short. Now, in terms of this race, Covey very well could end up getting around 60% because that seems to be what he'd need to win. I think it's doable. But we'll see. Do they count the mail-in first? Yeah, and a lot of it is in-person early voting too. It's the same way Florida counts, it seems. So, yeah, turnout is lower. It's going to be around 30,000 votes. The Super Tuesday, you had more. You had more on Super Tuesday. So, we'll see. Look at the counties that are left. Look, a lot of the counties that are favor Herrera had Gonzalez winning, and Herrera gained with the later vote. So again, I can't say that that's entirely the way that it's going to go because I think the day of vote is more likely to benefit Herrera, but I'm not sure. Someone in chat, we have another troll saying it's a cult and Republicans are staying. Yeah, it's such a cult that they're staying home. It's a cult. It's a cult, but they won't even follow the thing that advances their cult. Thank you for your very intelligent contribution to the conversation, by the way. I appreciate it. It's like, who cares? Oh, we're a cult. We're a cult because we have political convictions. We're a cult. We're a cult because we like some guy who's running for president. Yeah, that's never happened before. Oh, that's never happened before. Nobody ever liked Obama when they voted for him. Nobody ever liked Reagan. It's funny because the Reagan cultists are like the people on the right that'll call like the MAGA side a cult, and they're the ones that are still idolizing a guy from the 1980s as the way to solve modern day problems, and it's just not true. It's not true. What can I say? But we're stuck in a rut. Possible we're shaping up for 2 disappointing finishes or 2 epic come-from-behind victories. There's not going to be anything in between. That's it. That's what it's going to come down to. And I'm not going to say it's officially over or that we're officially back. I thought it was over, and now it's like, well, maybe it's not over. We'll see. We've got a lot left in Jasper County, presumably election day vote. That's Covey's strongest county. And if he gains there, I don't know how many raw votes are left there, it seems, though. That's the thing. In terms of the 21% that's remaining, that is going to benefit percentage-wise in these counties, Covey. Patriot 345 says, I'm still confident in Covey. There's still a lot of votes left to be counted. Well, we'll see. It's within 1,000 votes. You've got about 7,000 votes left, and they look to overwhelmingly benefit Covey. But it depends on what's out of Jefferson, how that vote shakes. We'll see. Trevor Hint says Democrats are going to have to cheat so much more than they did last to beat Trump again. Well, yeah, they're going to. You're right. If they go out there, and like I said, I don't think that what happened in 2020 was that out of the ordinary. The shady stuff happens all the time. A lot of elections, and I think that more people just paid attention to it, and obviously the new mail-in system and there's stuff like that definitely aided and abetted it, but that's already in place. Trump, Biden's margin for error was already as slim as it possibly could be, and the fact that it's going to be even more slim, that is not something that's going to bode too well for him. I don't know how you possibly can claim that. It's not like Trump has lost a ridiculous amount of support either. Seems like, if anything, he hasn't lost it. And we have new votes. New votes in, more votes in out of Jasper, and now it is a 1.4% race. It is coming down the wire. That is neck and neck. It's neck and neck. The votes in Jasper significantly ate into Phelan's margins. That is huge. We're closing in. We're closing the gap. 15% to go. We'll see how it shakes, but this is too close to call, as some people said in chat. Merck IWNL for 10. It's unpopular opinion, but I think acquittal will help Trump more than a conviction because the mind of the average voter more likely to realize it's a sham if acquitted more than MAGA, who knows regardless. Well, I mean, either way, I think you could make the case. I think either way, they already are picking their poison, and that's the way it goes. So if he gets fully acquitted, I think it would help. I mean, he's going to get more donors. People are going to say, well, he's not actually going to go down. The other cases lose legitimacy. The other civil convictions or whatever lose legitimacy as well. They already had no legitimacy. Stan Loco Inc. says the answer to removing Trump's Secret Service is a hard no. Trump would have his protection in prison. That's why Democrats tried to pass a bill to strip Trump of his Secret Service ahead of his trials. Yeah, well, I don't think he's going to jail, but I never was in doubt that he should have his protection. He'd be one of the, I don't know. The thing is, prisoners, if Trump was in jail, the whole prison would love him. Even if they went into prison hating him, they probably would he probably would be the president of the prison and probably the country too. They just pardon himself day one and walk out of the big house, go straight to the White House, pardon everybody in the prison that he thought was there, that didn't really belong there. There's a lot to consider with that. Yeah, that's a close race. I don't care about this district because it's a blue seat. But Phelan's margins narrowed. The other district, it seems like Van Dever does hold on unless something drastic happens, but yeah. Okay. Well, Secret Service, that would be interesting. If Trump had to be in jail with Secret Service as like the cellmates, imagine being those people. Kind of be cool, actually, but no, he's not going to go to jail. We need him not to go to jail. Maybe he secretly wants to be convicted just so he can have it as a chip on his shoulder. I don't know, but if just hope that justice is served and he gets to walk. I don't know. I feel like it would showcase a turn of the tides. Yeah, no new votes. Jada Kriegsman says, throw him to the Wolves, returns leading the pack. For who to the Wolves? I don't get it. Does someone really say Haley should be the nominee? Yeah, okay. If you want RFK Jr. to be Ross Perot on steroids and probably even pick off some states, then you probably would have seen that if Haley was the nominee. She would not have beaten Biden based off that fact alone. The polls already showed her losing ground, even though her support was only because of the Kasich effect to begin with. And on top of it, in regards to Haley or DeSantis would definitely be struggling. He was already losing ground in the head-to-head. Like, I never understood this notion, any generic Republican can beat Biden. It's like, yeah, but the generic Republican you speak of doesn't exist. The problem with a lot of the initial DeSantis 2024 people is because they wanted the idea of a DeSantis, but they didn't want the actual thing. That's why he lost half his support ever since he announced for the presidency. He lived in Iowa, could only get 21%. It's not very good. Not a very good job for the record, but Chase Oliver is Diet Biden. Oh, is it not? Yeah, I mean, I guess. Oh, look at this. It's now closing in. Big gains. Medina County flips to Herrera. He is within 5.2%. Shout out to Patriot 345. He's not within 5 yet. Let's not jinx it, but the more votes that come in, the more they benefit him. And if you talk about a big population center like Bexar County, that's the one of the more outstanding places. These other places that didn't look well for Gonzalez in round one, he is losing support everywhere as more votes are counted. That's what I'm telling people why they can't fully doom on it. It's not fully over. But, 70%, now it's down. It went from 7 to 5. Now it needs to go down to 4, 3, 2. Let's keep it moving here. Let's keep getting it down. That's main takeaway. Maverick County's 100% for Gonzalez. Is that a... Yeah, that's a statistical anomaly. That has to be fake. That's got to be fake. There's no way. He can't be getting all 115 votes. That's impossible. He got 57% there in round one. It was his second best county, but he's not getting 100%. That's an error. That's boosting Gonzalez by a little bit. But that's got to be an error. There's no way 100 to 0? I mean, he might be at 70, but he is not at 115 to 0. That is it. No, there's no way. It's statistically impossible. I mean, his best county in the first round, Crockett, did he even win Crockett? I think he lost Crockett. Yeah, he lost his best county in round one. That's got to be an error. That's got to be fake. That's huge. That's huge. Maverick County's a population of 58,000. No way there's a... Well, hold on. I mean, in round one, Maverick County, there were 1,000, not even 1,000 votes. So it's possible there's not many. And the Democrat primary had a lot more votes, too, than the Republican primary. So, while it seems like it's a seemingly blue county from the looks of it, at the same time, are there voters that they're going to be able to get out and vote for yeah, it's actually not even that blue. It's one of those counties Trump gained a ridiculous amount, and he gained 40 points there. His turnout there was usually low. Now it's a little bit higher. But that's like a Trump-heavy, like uniquely Trump-strong county. I don't know. But that's got to be wrong. There's no way. You know, they actually certified a tabulation error. Some random county in Texas in the primary, they accidentally counted their election day votes all for Haley when Trump won them, like 90% of them, and they certified it in the final results as Haley won this county in Texas in the middle of nowhere. And that never happened. It never happened at all. So, like, yeah. No, it was accidentally certified. These are pro-Trump people. They didn't do their job right. It was an accident. It didn't move the needle. Not everything is a conspiracy. If it was like a deciding vote that mattered, then yeah, then you could make the case. But it is a tabulation error. It was accidental. This, on the other hand, hopefully gets fixed. I think it will. And if they certified this and it would move the needle, then you could ask, oh, we have results. That's huge. That is big time stuff right there. Herrera to 48.1. He's down by 3.8. 77% of the vote is in. He gained in Bexar County, like I said. That is incredible. Right here, right now, this race is thin. It is within 900 votes. That's with the tabulation error. Let's go, Brandon. On Point Politics says, just finished streaming, predicted a 7 to 8 point win for Gonzalez, but Brandon is catching up. Yeah, I agree. I thought it'd be 20 points. I was wrong. I usually, when I'm wrong, it's not fun. But this might be one of the times where, hey, my expectations might be being blown out of the water. And, yep, that's huge. That's without a Trump endorsement. Trump didn't endorse. If Trump endorsed Herrera, he would have won by 15 to 20. Shout out to James Fender for the 5. Hype indeed. It is hype. It's not over yet, but this is hype. And the play, like, Gonzalez's best counties, like, it is true that they're not, like, a lot of them are not in yet, but there's a lot on the other side that aren't, and the more votes that come in, the better that Herrera starts to do. The cope from the Rhinos. Oh, could you imagine if Phelan and Gonzalez go down? The Rhino cope would be through the roof. We got 22% of the vote remaining. Is he hitting the target? That's another question. Doing some of the math here. So out of, yeah, it seems like there's going to be about 7,000 votes remaining. Herrera is going to need to win about 4,000 of them to win, which means he needs, again, 57. So apparently the percentage he needs went down, but where are they? A lot of them are in Bexar County. That's where you probably have, of the votes remaining, you still have 2,000 left. And then you've got a lot in these other places that, again, should help them. And then that doesn't even equate for the tabulation error. So we'll see. They said Phelan won on. Well, I wouldn't go so far based off of what I see. I don't know who said that. It's close. It's razor thin. It's razor thin. So we'll see. Hey, one of these people I think could win. That's the takeaway here. I don't know why they're saying that. There's votes left. I don't know. I saw Calvin Coolidge posted. I don't quite understand why he's saying it. This is not the final results unless there's something that I don't know. Republican Liberal says 115 to 85 per sources in Maverick. Yeah, that cuts the margin down by 100 votes. So now he needs like, 800 something instead of 900 something. How is it over? I don't know, unless New York Times is drunk or something. Apparently, I think it's because some account. I don't know. I'm not ready to say it's over just yet, because there's votes left for, according to New York Times. I don't know what they're talking about unless they're just. Secretary of State's website says all precincts are in. Well, I'm not looking at let me see. Why is the New York Times doing this if that's the case? You can't do that. You got to get it right. Get the facts straight. Let me see. I don't know. This is a confusing website to use. Confusing website. Oh, you talk about a close race. If those are final numbers, that's just sad. That's just sad. But how many, like, in terms of the precincts that are in, I'm sure all precincts are reporting some votes. Are they all reporting all of the votes? I don't know. And what does it say about this race? Is this race really 78% in, or is it a lot more in than that? So I don't know. The New York Times is not doing that. Either they're not doing their job, or people are just talking out of their ass. And it's possible that either one of those things could be true, because we've seen both of that, happen over the years that we've been covering elections. So, yeah, that's razor thin, a few hundred votes. But at the end of the day, in terms of this election, this is not over. And that's with the tabulation error. And we still have votes in out of Bear County. From what we see, I hope there's more. I'm not entirely sure what the deal is here. Craig Goldman won. That's not surprising. Jay Furman won. Also not surprising. A lot of these down ballot people, I mean, they haven't called it yet, but it's pretty obvious. Walrus Hunter says, even if Brandon loses, he proves that we, the people, still have the power, even if we get off our butts to participate in the Republic. Well, yeah, that's the problem, is that people don't turn out for these things. They don't turn out for primaries that often. Maybe that's actually what actually gave Herrera the edge was social media in this primary, just because of his big presence. It was a very close, tight race. But it's not over yet, from what I can tell. But if they are declaring victory, then probably they know something we don't. If that's true, Timbo Slices, never forget the primary juggernaut that was so true, Chris Christie. The Green Renegade says, are the walls closing in on Gonzalez? Well, he's got to win 40-some% of the remainder of what's left to win. But it's again, not quite over, because the remainder of the votes everywhere probably benefits Brandon. Even in these counties that he's not winning in right now, is it going to stay that way? The answer is probably not. Mawson Hollowell says, I hope Dade Rhino loses. Well, apparently he's declaring victory, which again, New York Times either isn't doing their job properly, or they know something we don't know, or they're going to be embarrassed some way. Or he's drunk again, and that's what he's doing. So if we could get a election, see other other platforms or other, the AP, for example, some of these other websites, if they have the results, and do they have the results? Maybe they don't as easily. Decision Desk didn't have it. I don't know. Like Washington Post, I think, has it, but it's a little bit different when they don't have, they don't have access for people who don't pay. Logan Leroy says at least we're making them sweat. Well, they're sweating. They lost a lot tonight. Like I said, these two races are like the big high profile ones, but down ballot in these other places, they really did lose a lot. And maybe there actually is a caucus that is going to be able to push Phelan out of leadership. I don't know if they're going to get away with that. But no, you did have a lot of wins. So the people saying you're coping, we won literally all races except maybe 2. Or actually 3, because I think that Van Dever probably wins. But apparently it's over because we didn't win every single race. It's like Paxton's revenge tour, the final boss might be able to get away, but let me see if I might be looking at the wrong place on Decision Desk. Maybe I was. Okay, House District. Okay, we have the runoffs here. That's for the U.S. House. We need the State House runoff. State House. Does it show the State House runoffs? It doesn't show the State House runoffs for some reason. This is weird. It shows that there's 67% reporting. So the percentage in is different for Decision Desk, and they actually show that Brandon is in a better position because not only is he... Okay. Yeah, there's more votes, and they say that there's more votes remaining. I don't know why that exactly is. But they haven't fixed Maverick County. It's a 3.6% game with 20% left. So we'll have to see. But again, the percentages that are in are different on Decision Desk. If we could pull up Decision Desk, than they are on the New York Times. Which again, I don't know why Dade is declaring victory. We don't... Maybe the Secretary of State, did they certify or they announce the results? That's different. But again, it was an open primary that moved the needle enough. See, now Herrera's at 48.3 according to this site. Bexar County 62% reporting, but according to the New York Times, it is 79% reporting. So you see the disconnect there. Amy Woofter says Phelan's already drunk. Yeah, he's gonna be trashed in his victory speech, I'm sure. Oh man. Yeah, I'm not worried about the future of Brandon Herrera or whatever. I'm sure he'll be fine. He's young. He could probably run again. He gave an incumbent a run for their money without a Trump endorsement. If this seat was open, he easily would be the one winning. If he was running up, well, sometimes in a case like this, it might be easier to beat the Rhino because people know him. If you have somebody that's not known too well and they're backed up by big money, it definitely plays a little bit of a different role in the election. But yeah, I don't know how it's 80% here, but here it's 67. I don't know. American Victory says 196 of 362 precincts reporting in Texas 23rd. Well, that's good news, you would think, right? Because then you have a decent amount left over. So maybe the New York Times is getting it wrong, but yeah, look at that. It's razor thin. I didn't think it would be this close, but you see it. Phelan reminds me of Ford from... Do not compare Doug Ford or whatever his name was to Dade Phelan. That's an insult to Doug Ford. A big insult. Phelan is much, much worse. Much worse. It's not even that he's a drunk. It's everything else. I don't care. You know, if he was like funny and like based, you know, we'll keep him. Richard Nixon for president says, great stream, rep. Thoughts on Nixon as a president? Well, I mean, there's kind of like the Nixon cult I see from time to time. They love Nixon. They're on the right. Personally, I don't know the most about Nixon. He did some good things. I think he did some not so good things. I think that he was probably, you know, corrupt to a decent extent. But again, he was screwed so many times. He just was caught with his hand in the cookie jar. So he didn't really need to cheat to get reelected or anything like that, given his opponent. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Nixon. I probably should do more research about him. Seems like an entertaining guy. But yeah, let's see. It's interesting though. If his first term was in 1960, we did that. We did the alt history before, a long time ago. It was kind of a wish cast, but it was it's good. But yeah, I mean, like, yeah, the gold standard. He got us off the gold standard. He did. He created the EPA, the Employment Prevention Agency. There were a lot of things he did that were questionable. Whether he was based or he was not so based on certain things, well, it's all in the past now. But Nixon, yeah, he was screwed electorally. He was screwed big time in 1960. But again, Eisenhower didn't campaign for him. If he did, it would have changed things. If he if he was able to not embarrass himself in the debate, he would have done much better, in my opinion. Again, just a slap in the face to the whole 13 Keys cultists, because there's so many little things that impact an election that are not relevant to the main 13. They're not. But what can I say? How is Lowe doing in the 91st? I think he won. Didn't he? Oh, now they have it as all 9. Yeah, okay. Well, hopefully this is the opposite here. Hopefully this is 67 and it's not 83. Because if that's the case, I'm a lot more confident in Herrera's odds at victory than I was initially. And sometimes you have to make trade-offs on the night. But this is disappointing. And again, big money, Democrat crossover. It's a shame. It's a shame. 13 Keys are okay, but Lichtman has lost the plot. Well, yeah. I mean, they're a general guide. It's like, yeah, if the economy's doing well, yeah, the president's probably going to win the election if their party's in power. But the problem is that the public perception of the economy is different. And this is something that Lichtman has accounted for in the past, but he's unwilling to account for it now. He said that Donald Trump should have been or would have been impeached if he won and removed from office. That never happened. He said the only reason why Republicans would win the House in 2022 is because of gerrymandering, which again is literally not true. They won the popular vote by 3 and only picked up 9 seats. So he's senile is what he is, and he's a partisan hack at this point. That's the problem that I have with the Keys. It's the messenger more so than anything else. But yeah, we're just sitting here waiting for more results out of this race. I mean, like, the problem is that it was so close. It was so close. People need to pay attention. I mean, this is a problem. We could talk about big money. It's not like that COVID didn't have any either. I mean, we could talk about a lot of things. And there were a lot of victories tonight, and we're not trying to take away from that, but this is not ideal. Not like anything changes. In fact, it's going to change for the worse because now you have a rising part of the Texas State House that's not like completely rhinos, and the rhinos are coping about tonight in many ways, but it's, yeah. It is rigged. I'll say the R word because it's true. It's not to say that these aren't real voters, because they are, but they're Democrats. They pay these people. They buy votes from Democrats. That's what they do. They find Democrat. The only county that was even remotely close was the county, or that was remotely for Phelan, was the county that's heavily Democrat in terms of the people that live there. And it probably was more Democrat than the initial first round. It was. It literally was. Or it was more for Phelan than the initial first round. Amy Woofter says, Phelan, you missed the joke. I didn't see what the joke was. Oh, no, I didn't miss the joke. I know he's a drunk idiot. I thought I said that. We've covered that. Yeah, it says 84% of the vote is in here, but here it says 68, and Herrera is gaining. There's more votes reporting. He's only down by how much? It seems like he's only down by around 800 something. He's at 48.4. So he's down by 3.2%. It's a good showing, percentage-wise. It's a good showing. And apparently you have an opposite problem with the New York Times here, because it's clear that they're overestimating the amount of vote that's in, but they were underestimating the amount that was in the Phelan race. So, it's kind of confusing. But Bexar County is where there's a lot of votes in. And yeah, Gonzalez leads, but still, the recent vote dumps have been benefiting Herrera. See, they're just slowly reporting the votes. They're doing it too slow compared to Decision Desk, where the gap here they're showing is 900, but the gap here is 800. It's below 800. Well, it's a little bit above 800. But in terms of reporting the percentages that are in, or the precincts that are reported, how exactly are they gauging that? Is it the early vote? Because some precincts will report some votes and then report other votes later, which is kind of confusing. What can I say? Looks like yeah, oh, totally. I'm totally on the verge of tears, bro. Yeah, you fucking called it. Okay. Yeah, the same thing. Every election, they say the same thing. You're going to cry. I never cry. The only time I cry is when I teared up when Trump gave the Medal of Freedom to, I think it was Rush during the State of the Union. That was just, it was a moving moment, a very moving moment. I didn't even cry. It was tears, a little bit of a teary-eyed moment. It was nice. It was like, wow, he actually did that. That was incredible. But no, there's no tears here. It's disappointment. This is disappointment, or not here. The other race was disappointing. But how many victories have we taken tonight in a night that we expected zero? But I mean, it is true. There's no moral victories. There's no moral victories in politics. Well, actually, there kind of are. But in terms of the outcome, there's still technically moral victories. But you would have liked to do a little bit better in some of these places. You would have. All right. Yeah. Drunk Dade will survive. It's over. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. It's like, yeah. We've been talking for 3 hours. We're tired. We look at a screen. You're going to cry. Okay. Totally. If you want me to, you want to be happy? You want me to just bawl my ears? I could do that if I wanted to, if I was actually sad, but I'm not. It's just the face of waiting. You think waiting is fun? It's called being bored. We're bored. We're bored tonight. This is not the election of the year either. We've had plenty of those. So, AP called it for Tony? No? Did they? They might. They might have. I don't know. Let me see. I still think that it depends on how many votes are actually out, because you can't call it now. I think it's a little too early to call it now, because if really it is 68%, it's 68%. If it's 85%, then yeah, you're getting closer to calling it. Probably still not. We see how they do it though. They will call Indiana 2 to 3 hours after the polls close. Then they'll call Virginia as the polls close. They did that in 2020. They waited 3 or 4 hours to call Florida when it was apparent Trump was going to win Florida at 8 o'clock Eastern time. But they still waited, and they had states Trump was winning in until there was 60% reporting. Yeah, obviously those were, election day votes. They counted. He wasn't going to win the states like Rhode Island, for example, but they still waited and waited and waited to call it. So, yeah, anybody who says that Fox did the right decision in calling error, it doesn't even matter, right or wrong. You can't make the call that early. I mean, they made early calls that are wrong. I thought it was wrong when they called Wisconsin for Trump at like 11 o'clock in 2016. I was like, it's a little bit too early for that. You don't want this not to age well. Now, if it's right or wrong, whatever, but it's a gamble because you don't know everything and you think you know everything and you don't. And it's malpractice and you can't do it that way. You have to wait until you know for sure. You have the confidence interval up. You want to call it when 85, 89% is in and you got a 3-point lead, fine. But if you got a 4-point lead with 60% in, you can't make that call. And that's what I was saying in regards to the Wisconsin or the Arizona or whatever you want to call it back in 2016, 2020, whichever year. Sam Madsen says, we took out 15 incumbents in the Texas House this cycle, including 5 tonight. I'll take that in exchange for Dade and Tony winning. I mean, no, I said it's a net positive on the night. I agree. It's a net positive. It is disappointing when you're so close and you outrun expectations and you don't win. They did call it for Phelan. But, I mean, it seems like all the other incumbents are going to lose. Every single one's going to lose, except for Tony, which, again, maybe if this is right and the remainder of the votes come in, then maybe you could say that we could have a different call. But the New York Times, I don't know. They did let us down a little bit with the percentages because they did give us a little bit of false hope. What can I say? Patriot 345 says this is the consequence when you have exactly open primaries. Exactly. Donald H says, does Trump even have a health care plan? Probably not. Does Biden have one though? Like, that's the thing I don't understand is like, where's Trump's health care plan? It's like, what is Biden's plan for health care? Either. Like, I just don't, there's nothing. Oh, some insulin thing that Trump already tried to do by executive order that he passed as like part of some big like omnibus spending bill. Okay. I mean, the average price for most people isn't really even dropping, so I don't know if you could say that Biden has much of a health care plan either. I think Trump should have a health care plan, for the record, but, yeah, I don't know what it is. He has general tendencies. There's no just set plan. There's no, like, Obamacare. Yeah, now it's a 3-point race, according to Decision Desk. But there's 72% reported. Here they say 90, but there's more votes here, which is kind of confusing. So either way, I think Gonzalez is probably favored based off of what's in right now. Yeah, state lines, that's part of it. State lines, less regulation. He has positions on things. I'm not saying he doesn't, but he doesn't have like a set plan. And honestly, in terms of healthcare, like what exactly needs to be done to lower costs? Probably things like the state lines thing, like increasing competition. You're probably going to want to make it easier for people who can't afford healthcare to get access to it. And I don't know what the best way would be to go about that. Maybe like a voucher program for health insurance, something like that people talked about before Obamacare when that had to be done. M says Nevada must vote against RCV in open primaries in November. Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't even know that was... Well, actually, yeah, it was on the ballot, or it's going to be. Open primaries I didn't even know about, but ranked choice voting I did hear about that. Open primaries is a disaster. I think both sides should be able to come together and act on that. The difference is Republicans have been the party lately to have the contested primaries and division. That's not to say Democrats don't have a good portion of their party that is really anti-Biden right now, because they do, because of Palestine and all these other things. But still, Donald H. says, why didn't he repeal Obamacare like he promised? Well, he tried. I mean, it just didn't work out. There was not exactly a set plan. The plan was shot down by John McCain and a couple other people. That was the Ryan Care, which, again, I think there was a lot of hysteria about it. And I think if it went into play that it wouldn't have been super unpopular. But again, this is something that he tried to do, couldn't do it, and now he's like, I don't want to touch it, because now it is true. Obamacare is not unpopular as it was in the past, partially because Trump did get rid of the individual mandate. And people realize that when you don't have a plan, a bad plan is better than no plan. I think that we should take it, reform it, possibly add the state lines thing. That's kind of what Trump is mentioned. I put out the tweet, he should talk about the fact he doesn't want to get rid of it anymore, and then he did. And it's not to say Obamacare is good or that Obamacare is perfect or whatever, because we know it's not. But still, I mean, it's not the hill that, in my opinion, we need to die on when we have all these foreign conflicts we're involved in, either directly or indirectly. And when we have a border that's being invaded, healthcare is not my issue, and I don't think it should be a top issue for most people. That's not to say that it doesn't matter, but certain things take precedence. You can't afford a home. You can't afford anything. House prices are through the roof over the past 4 years. Above all else, interest rates are too high. Biden's not even going to try to cut them before the election, it seems. So, well, we'll see if he has to break the emergency glass. I'm sure he'll try certain things. He did that with the oil reserves, but now there's nothing left. Gas is still going up, by the way. So, yeah, healthcare is more of an issue for Dems. Well, they're divided on it too. You have the people that like Obamacare and the people that want a full single-payer system, thinking that that's going to work because it works in other countries, not necessarily how it always adds up. Most Americans like their private healthcare system, and including a lot of Democrats. And when Bernie Sanders was challenged on it, instead of running just against a Hillary Clinton and capitalizing off of the Clinton hate, then he got shellacked in the primary in a lot of places. And yeah, it was rigged, we know. You know, they had people drop out at convenient times for them and things like that. I'm aware of it. But still, Sven Olsen says, if I remember correctly, McCain died of brain cancer not too long after that. Okay. I'm not going to defend McCain, but I didn't. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to say the last part. I don't like McScrew McCain, but all right, just chill out a little bit. Chill out. Good thing I'm not running for office in Arizona, right? Good thing I'm not running in Arizona. Let's see. Chat's moving slowly. I look at chat, I'm bored, and then people think I'm crying. Yeah, totally. It's like I'm reading the chat. What do you want me to do? I'm not allowed to read anymore. I have to do the stream blindfolded. So you have some of these people do this stream where they're, and that's not to say that I'm complaining about what I do because I love what I do, but you get these people behind a screen in front of thousands of people for 3 hours. Are they really able to do that, or are they going to crack down at the little glimpse of troll or criticism? They wouldn't know how the hell to manage the chat. That's why they would never have as many people watching as I do. That's where it all stems from, but we don't need to psychoanalyze these people any more than we've already done tonight. Michael Williams says, what's the reason behind having open primaries? Well, they just don't want to register by party for some reason. I don't know. I think it's sus. It's sus. Punch a Bunch Bear says, Harry Sisson's yeah, he is a crybaby. Maverick County, well, Maverick County is broken on New York Times. I don't know why they're doing it the way they've done it, but this is the real result. 80% is in. Gonzalez is at 57. But yeah, no, I mean, for being outspent, for all the things that happened in real life, not the Twitter ratios, I think that Herrera did a very good job regardless. And I think you couple that with the Rhinos losing in the State House. We have work to do. That's not entirely the point. But we're making progress. We are making progress, and I'm very happy that we're making progress. So it's not all gloom and doom. It's not all it's over. You know, some results will be more disappointing than others, and that's fine. Tonight, I didn't expect much, and it seems like we got more than we bargained for. This race looks like Gonzalez maybe narrowly wins, but again, I thought he'd win by 20. You're talking about a 3-point race. I mean, that is a hell of a campaign that you're able to run. It's not easy to knock off an incumbent no matter who it is, and getting 49% of the vote, that is impressive. It is. Whether it's a letdown or not, you know, maybe if Gonzalez doesn't change, Herrera runs again and wins because he proved that he's more legitimate than I think a lot of people thought he was. Dova Budgie says, what did I miss? Well, a bunch of Rhinos lost down ballot, but Dade Phelan is currently the winner in his runoff, which sucks. And on top of it, Gonzalez Herrera still neck and neck, but Gonzalez is winning. But not necessarily by as much as I thought he would win by. So Paxton is pissed. Well, he took some wins tonight, but I mean, he didn't get the final boss, which is disappointing. But again, open primaries, it happens. That's the problem with these open primaries. Decision Desk called it for, not for Gonzalez. I mean, some places might have called it for Gonzalez, but yeah, that is the disconnect. Is it really 92% of the vote that's in, or is it 78? Either way, it's not like it's moved much in the past 10% regardless. So, yeah. How's it semi-open? It's not, it's open, period. Now, it's semi-open in that if you vote Dem in the first round, you can't vote Republican in the second. So I guess you could say that's semi-open, but I don't know. Decision Desk. This is Decision Desk. Maybe on Twitter they called it. They haven't called it on their own website, though. Oh, there they go. They called it. Well, that's game. That is game. It's over. Well, he gave it his all. He gave it his all. He did better than I thought he would. Phelan won, which sucks. But again, there's some down ballot victories that need to be taken into account. I think that you could say it's a decent night for the movement overall. I think it's not great. I mean, it was so close to being the greatest night. That's the problem. That's where the hesitation to call it a good night comes in. But yeah, I mean, if it is 78, I still think that's early to call it, but yeah, they should do a recount in the, probably not enough for a recount here because you're talking about a 3% difference, but a recount in the Covey-Phelan race, yeah, there should be a recount there. It's probably not going to change much unless we find like a case of boxes in our car like they did in Minnesota in 2008, because that was enough to change it. But I don't think that exists from what I understand. But New York Times lets us down once again with the percentages. Possible that Decision Desk is doing the opposite here. But open primaries. Now, maybe it benefited Herrera because maybe there were some... I don't know if there was an effort to get Dems to vote for him because he's like the less eluctable type or whatever. But either way, I think that it was a little disappointing that we fell short in this race. I mean, especially because there was no Trump endorsement. If Trump endorsed Herrera, he would have won. You know, there are just some endorsements that, you know, just aren't there or should be there. I don't think he really thought Herrera had a shot to win either way, but, you know, looking at it now, it's a little different. Some guy said Mexican last name equals, well, they both have Mexican last names, so I don't know if that's true. I mean, Gonzalez is more of like a common one, I guess, but I think it has more to do with the fact that he's an incumbent with name recognition, and he ran these advertisements, and they were disingenuous, and he was able to narrowly win because of it. And it's disappointing, but, you know, all things considered, he did a hell of a lot worse than I thought he would do, and he's on the chopping block for 26, and that is a good thing. Sir, thanks a lot. Says, since when does calling it end in election? Well, it doesn't. I mean, we've seen calls that have been made that have been wrong all the time. We saw Florida in 2000, I think, that there was a lot of calls that have been made in the past that have not entirely been accurate. But, yeah, okay, we have too many trolls. This guy's been going on all night. He's done for the night. He's been done. Abdullah's done. You had your fun. You had your fun. Oh yeah, I'm totally crying. Yeah, I'm looking at the chat, but I'm crying because I'm looking at the chat. Yeah. All right, this guy's gonna be done for the night as well. We'll get rid of him. He's done. Tommy Leo 1 says, so close yet so far. Rest in peace, Herrera Bros. Yeah, it's disappointing. It is disappointing, but you know, what can I say? Some guy says stop responding. Well, I responded trolls because they occupy the whole chat. They are there. They spam. The moderators don't always get rid of them. You know, sometimes a little bit of trolling is fun because it does keep engagement high. But it is true. When we have a big chat, we have a big crowd, there's no need for it. And the moderators should do their job. But again, you can't win regardless of what you say, what you do, and apparently the New York Times percentages were right. The only exception is I do think that they still have Maverick County wrong, whereas Decision Desk does not. But even then, you look at Maverick County and the discrepancy is only like 20 votes at the end of the day. So it's not like it's the end of the world. So On Point Politics says, despite this being bad for us, I think I might have been the most accurate forecaster tonight. I had the victory for Gonzalez at 7-8, and it's currently around 3. I mean, yeah, I'd agree. I thought it'd be like 20. You know, I thought that Herrera would just, I thought the online phenomenon, while it's good, it's like people know you in districts you don't live in. That's kind of the takeaway. Mark in LA says this is still better coverage than anywhere on TV. Well, you know, is it really saying a whole lot given what we see nowadays in mainstream media? Either way, I take it as a compliment. I appreciate the super chat, Mark in LA, but it's true. The mainstream media does not do their job properly. They don't know nearly as much about elections. Even the experts. You have the guy at CNN. I don't even have that much against him, John King or whatever his name is, but I feel like I'm more knowledgeable about the results and the counties than he is at certain points. And you learn more every time that you analyze something, you learn more. Timbo Slice says, hey Rep, love the content, keep it coming, #trolled. Thank you, appreciate it. We'll probably end in a few minutes, so if you guys have any more super chats, I'd recommend sending them in now. We have 1,700 viewers. Make sure you guys like the stream down below as well. Patriot345 says, Covey campaign says 1,442 Democrats voted in Jefferson. That's 20%. Well, they can do that unless they voted in round 1. Then they can't do it. And if that happened, then those voters would have to be invalidated. But I don't think that's what they're getting at, unless I'm really just missing something that I'm not apparently getting right now. So Ismael Campos says, have y'all covered the VP favorites? I don't want to open up that discussion right now. It's too late in the stream for that, but we have covered it. But I've done videos about it. You guys can watch if you're new. Saga says, did a Nevada Senate poll come out today? I have no idea. Either way, the Senate polls, I think, this far out are useless. Trump's going to have a lot of pull at the top of the ticket. Zachary Stewart says, hi, I'm from Florida. Even our Gators vote for Trump here. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? It's funny because you look at the whole primary, and we were told that DeSantis is going to win. Yeah, he got like 3%. Yeah, he dropped out. I know. I'm not trying to reopen and rehash the old stuff, but it is funny that like Trump was up by 40 points in DeSantis's home state while DeSantis was still in the race, and he ended up winning it by like 70 when it was all said and done. Haley got second. And now Trump, like I said, Trump's the favorite. 19-point betting favorite. Again, betting odds are pretty much useless, but it's funny because the trial, he's not going to campaign. Like the trial's about to end, and he went up. He went up in every state. This is a phenomenon unlike anything in politics that we've ever seen before. So El Paso flipped. Oh, it did. I mean, there's not a lot of votes there. It's not going to make a difference, but it is true that, Herrera might finish with 49. Just depends. All New Year 24 is just wait till November 6th, day of reckoning. Yeah. Well, hopefully we're not the ones reckoning. Hopefully we're the ones that are victorious. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, he gained. He's gaining. I don't know if that's because they added the votes. They haven't even fixed Maverick County. Yeah, it makes the map more yellow. But the problem is, and this is something a lot of people don't get, is that the votes that dictate the election are usually in the urban areas, which are more compacted. And while Republicans do very well in rural areas, and I think it's a good thing that they do, the lion's share of the votes for this district, about a good 40% of them came from Bexar County, and then some of these exurban areas surrounding it. So, I mean, that's what dictates the election. It was still a good showing. I'm not saying it's not. I think that he did a good job, better than I thought. So I'll eat my crow on that one. Usually being off by 17, 18 points is not a good thing. GIX 1108 says, why don't you talk about Armenia and Artsakh? I just don't pay that much attention to it. Like, I think that what's going on there is a mess, but I don't think we need to get involved either. I'm consistent. I'm consistent. Bailey Spangler for 10 says, Trump's endorsements or lack thereof are still terrible. Mike Johnson was also a total snake here. I've been watching Herrera since 2019. This loss really stings. Hope he runs for some. Well, I think he does. I think he has this mandate now that he is serious. If you come this close to knocking off an incumbent congressman, you're serious. You are. I mean, you could say the joke candidate thing all you want. And if you had Trump on the ballot, even without an endorsement, I think he would have pulled Herrera over. And for somebody to basically consolidate all the support in a runoff that you only get 20-some in the first round, you get 48 in the second round, then that's huge. Yeah, Trump should have endorsed him. That is an L. It is an L. Dova Budgie 100 says, I declare these trolls defeated and they are. It's late in the stream. I would say it, but there's like the monetization factor. If you swear in like the first 5 minutes or the last 5 minutes, it's more detectable. And like if you say it in the middle, like it's even part of like the TOS. They just don't care. They don't care if somebody an hour long into a stream swears, but if you swear in the first 5 seconds of the video, then you can't do that. So I would have read the super chat if I wasn't about to end, which we will. So this will be the final last call for super chats, and other than that, we'll end it. M says Herrera should try to primary John Cornyn let's not get ahead of ourselves. Senators are a lot harder to knock off. And while I think we can knock Cornyn off, it's got to be with somebody who's already got statewide or at least more notable name recognition, somebody that's already served. Herrera would run the risk of being more of an online candidate at that point for that office. It's a lot easier to get into Congress than it is to get into the Senate. And it's a lot easier to get into State House than it is to get into Congress. I'd be very confident that I could rally my base and we could drum up enough donations. If people wanted to elect me to state house, I'm confident we could do that, depending on the district, depending on the circumstance. So you also got to get in with the state party. But I think that Herrera will run again for Congress or something. He'll be fine. Maybe he will eventually get to the Senate, but usually just going from failed, well, I'm not saying failed in like a bad sense, but somebody who runs for Congress narrowly loses a primary, that they're going to like have the mandate to run for Senate. Oh, wow. Maverick County, one vote. They're putting it in right now, probably. Patriot 345 says, what primaries are tomorrow? I don't think there's any. We don't have primaries until Super June's Day, so we'll be streaming Montana. We've got South Dakota. There's a lot of state legislature races in those states too that matter, and rhinos are dropping like flies. So there is a very very good good direction that's happening. Even tonight was good. It's not really a night of coping. It's more of a night of, oh, we were so close and we fell short. Because I didn't think that, I honestly, well, the race that Phelan was in, I thought that race would have been close, and it was. But this race, I mean, this was much closer than I thought. So, but I had Phelan winning, because I know they get Democrats, and they got Democrats to save his ass. That's the problem with open primaries. That's the problem. As for Democrats, what if we infiltrated these people's primaries? Think about that. What if we did it to them? We probably could ruin their party if we did. So they're going to be the ones saying cope about that. Let them. I don't care. We will not hopefully be the ones coping in November. That's what matters. All this stuff. Trump should have endorsed this guy, should have endorsed this guy. I get it. With that argument, I think he should have endorsed Herrera, but November is the number one priority right now. And we got to win. We got to defeat Biden. We got to get people voting. We got to come together as a party, as a movement, as a whatever you want to say. And we got to win. Timbo Slice is bold of you to announce you're running for House right now. I'm not running for House. I'm not running for anything. I'm less than a year from being eligible, though. So I'm not saying I would, but I got other stuff. I got other stuff planned, though. I got a lot of things going on. Life's good. Patriot 345 says, sorry, I meant next week. Well, I think we covered that. Republican Liberal says, who thought having Arizona in late July is a good idea? I mean, look, I agree with you, but it's funny because they moved it up. They moved it up even more. Decision Desk has Gonzalez at 26. That's the primary. That's the first round, I would assume. Tommy Leah says it's so much more painful when it's... Yeah, I agree. Look, I've dealt with a lot of pain and disappointment from being a Lions fan and seeing us fall short so many times. Not so much anymore, but it is true. If you just get blown out every time, it's like, oh, okay, like whatever. We'll see. But if it's like you got a shot and then it's like a tease and then it blows up in your face, oh, it's painful. It is painful. It is painful. Yeah, 600 votes. It's funny because I think Herrera got more votes in round one than he got in round two. It's kind of an opposite of Mississippi's 2022 races. But yeah, I mean, you look at Texas, the primary last time, you want to crunch the numbers, we can crunch the numbers. And you see that Herrera actually got 14,000 votes in round one, and he got 13,000 votes in round two. So his base came out again. He didn't add any voters on net, apparently, at least not. Gonzalez, despite spending money, didn't really do him very many favors, though. But it did help him win because he was able to just trash Herrera 24/7. The Green Renegade says it's so Jover Bros, sigh. Yeah, it's sad in a little bit of a context. But again, I didn't think he would win, and I did think Phelan would win. I was disappointed in how close it was and how New York Times was just being the New York Times with their percentages, and they got to get that fixed before November. There's going to be a lot of people pissed off and angry, and they're going to be, again, pissed off and angry. We don't like that. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't think he would be that serious. I mean, like, obviously, I thought that he would have an outside shot if he, like, got a Trump endorsement or something, but I didn't think he would do that well. I didn't think he would. I think it's more of an indictment on Gonzalez, too, and that's not to take it away from Brandon, but because you don't get your round one vote in round two, that's insane. That's insane. Round one vote. Herrera basically got his round one vote, and Gonzalez lost a lot of his. So, I don't know. Look, maybe in the future, Herrera can run again for this seat and win, but we'll see. We're not there yet. We're not quite there. We'll get there when we get there, and we'll go from there. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, Trump endorsement would have it wouldn't have been close. And Mike Johnson meddling in this. Another Mike Johnson L. Greg Abbott L. Abbott had a lot of pull. And also, it's not even just Trump. Where was Ted Cruz? Where were all these other people? Like, I'm not saying that to absolve Trump from the blame, but you know how he operates. Like, where are these other people? Where were they? You could take out a rhino. We didn't see enough of it. And the whole slander game won, I guess, which, again, I thought it would. I didn't think it'd be the deciding factor. But because that's the deciding factor, that's what's so disappointing. That's the main problem. And, it's sad, but we have to move on and just go to the next primaries. But like I said, it was a good night, and there were wins, and they're not, as sexy to talk about in terms of the fact that they're state legislature primaries, but hey, I mean, they were huge. 5 people go down tonight. 5 rhinos lose. We'll analyze it in the video tomorrow. We'll be okay. The show will go on, and hopefully we get a Trump verdict soon. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching the stream. Make sure you guys like the stream down below. Comment down. Well, if you're watching on replay, you can comment. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video or stream. Follow me on social media. The links are down below, but I only really use Twitter and IG. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. It was a good one. Red Eagle, out.